Welcome to the Donut Friendly Show. Matt and Leeroy tonight. Good to see everybody. Leeroy, how are we doing, my friend?
I am good, brother. How are you?
Good. We're just getting everything squared away and kind of getting ready for 2025, moving some cameras around. Got a video we'll play that we did today, about a little 6-minute quick video. We'll talk about that. We got Pete Hegseth. I definitely want to talk about Pete Hegseth. Tim Kennedy is getting some flack. And if you don't know who Tim Kennedy is, he's someone I've talked about on the show. But the Anti-Hero podcast has brought down several people and went after him. We'll talk about it. And my opinion on the Anti-Hero podcast and what I think they're doing. And honestly, these guys are former Delta, so they are, fairly credible. But what is going on between the Special Forces community and why are some going after others and all that type of stuff? We'll talk about it. It's pretty important. We have an echo. What do you mean we have an echo?
I am not hearing it, if there is.
I don't hear an echo either. The song specifically has an echo in the background.
I bet that's what they're talking about.
Wimkin was having problems tonight, folks. I want to apologize. There's nothing I can do about that. They had a DDoS attack. I tried to get the show booked, and it wouldn't book. So nothing we can do about that. But we'll be back in about 9 seconds. Let me know if there's an echo. I don't think there is. Echo is
he's
gone
saying
now.
It's on. Yeah.
Yep. All right. We'll see you guys in a couple seconds. To a Wimkin. One of the things that I hear most often, that I always try to help people connect the dots, is what is past is prologue. And although Shakespeare not my favorite, it's an interesting thing when you look at 1980 and the crack epidemic and what the United States government was involved in with the Contras.
No kidding.
So I don't understand why people are so shocked and they call Roseanne a conspiracy theorist. Because there's evidence in the past of the government getting involved in this, and there's plenty of books on this, and you can read this.
Here's what I think. I love your show, by the way, Matt Spear, and
Thank you,
you. Just discovered you about a week ago,
ma'am.
Oh my God, this guy's a genius. The facts he can spew.
God, I love you.
You can spew fact, and that's the sign of a genius.
Thank you, ma'am.
So I appreciate you asking me that.
So you just made my life.
I do remember back when they were bringing the crack cocaine into the black neighborhoods, and that proved that the CIA was doing it.
Yes, I got to get that woman on.
They were grooming.
We got to get her on.
Yeah, you do.
Adjusting transmitter output.
This is the Don't Unfriend Me Show with your hosts, Matt Leeroy, Amy, and Olivia. Geopolitics, military analysis, and election coverage. Coming to you live on all major social media channels at The DUM Show. Honest, direct,
looks good,
unfiltered. We can agree, we can disagree. Just don't unfriend me.
What's going on, brother?
How you doing? How was your day?
Good, man. I was good. It was good. We just got back from Ethan's first choir concert at a chorus. Hayden did it, and everyone got to see her 6th grade through 8th grade every year do it for Christmas, and he just did his first one. It was great. Couldn't get it broadcasting, but he's doing it really well. It was nice because the teacher, Miss Washington, saw Hayden, and she was like, "We were just talking about you the other day and how amazing you were, and how you always were the glue to the plays," and talking to Hayden. I was like, "Wow, that's really cool." And then she's like, and then Ethan, he's a rock star and everything else. It felt really good. And Hayden just got done for doing her audition for Mamma Mia. And
is that what she sings in the background?
Sometimes she plays piano, which is right over in the foyer, and she plays over there, or the mud room, or whatever the hell you want to call it. But
yeah, she
loves Mamma Mia. She loves the movie, and she's went for the lead as a freshman. And
wow,
yeah, it's pretty special. And I guess her audition went super well. And
good.
There's one of the songs she has to hit like a high C, and I guess she just crushed it. And they asked her to lower, I don't know the verbiage, but lower her overall, whatever key she was singing in, lower it into
octave.
I don't think it's an octave, but I do that. I say octave, and she yells at me. So whatever it is, I've always thought it was an octave, but she drops down to whatever, and then they had her do one of the in the script, doing the lines. They had her do, "Hey, why don't you do that in an angry tone? Why don't you do it in a sad state?" And so they started, for a freshman, they don't have her do that. And then I guess the judges clapped for a lot of the things that she did, and they didn't clap for other people.
Wow.
So she got a video. So if she gets the lead, I would be shocked, because she's a freshman, and freshmen don't get leads. Right. But she's doing really well. She's I'm very proud of her. But inter-service rivalry. God, we have a lot of people on. It's great. Inter-service rivalry. Your thoughts on it?
I love it.
And explain it. Explain it. Yeah, explain it to people. What does inter-service rivalry mean from our perspective as Navy versus what it would be for the SOF community, and what it would be for separate branches? There's different types of inter-service rivalry.
Right. So you'll always have, first of all, at the end of the day, most of the military, they know and they understand that, hey, these are my brothers and sisters just from other branches, and they all perform different functions, right? So the Navy's going to look at the Coast Guard, and they're going to shit on them a little bit for being, puddle pirates. You'll get the same thing with the Navy and the Marines, where, we'll make fun of the Marines for eating green crayons. The Army will make fun of almost nobody because they really can't. Air Force, literally, they try to figure out where they're going to put the golf courses when they're trying to figure out where they're going to put an Air Force base. So there's a lot of these jabs back and forth between the services, and it's never meant to be, mean spirited, or it's just a way for us to have fun, because basically at the end of the day, most of the people that serve throughout the military have some level, whether or not they know it, they have some level of dark humor kind of embedded in their personalities, and certainly within their services. And so this is just a kind of a fun way to, throw jabs at each other. But at the end of the day, some of the most badass people that I've ever met were Marines, Air Force, certainly Coast Guard, and then the soft guys, the DevGru guys or the Marine Force Recons, they take it to a whole new level because they think that they're at the tip of their perspective game,
Tier
within their
one.
service. Yeah.
Tier
They're the
one
tip of the
operators.
spear. Yeah.
Yeah.
So interesting thing. Why?
Well, I'll kind of go through it because, listen, the moment you join the Navy and the Air Force, you're opening yourself up to some verbal abuse from fellow veterans. It's just, you just need to, right. But the thing also is that we're smarter than most of them anyway. So they may get the physicality down and make fun of our boot camp, but we get to make fun that they're a bunch of crayon eating, knuckle dragging Neanderthals. And, you get this rivalry. But what's interesting, I've said it before on the show, is Leroy and I have a different perspective because we've had a chance to work with soft guys and certainly not do their job, but work alongside them in capacity from debriefing, briefings, counterintelligence, HVT, and going out with the teams to establish high-value targets in the area and being an intel source in the moment. And that was one of the things in 1994, 95, literally the year I went in, and I think Leroy had already cut his teeth for a while in the Navy. They created Naval Special Warfare Activity Group. And then there's NSW. And when people say Naval Special Warfare, it's Activity Group has multiple classes from yeoman to corpsman to intelligence specialist. Hell, there's even ordnance guys and stuff who are, and shop clerks and shit who do support for the teams. And this opened up, but really when it came down to working side by side with the teams in the sense of not going out in the field and going down range in that aspect, but being in a forward operating position in a base or being utilized to go and do a touch point with the teams, you had to have some basic skill sets. And the Navy intelligence specialist didn't. I mean, pretty much Leroy and I trained with the M16, a 22 version, 22 long rifle M16, and a 45. I mean, that's what or a 9mm, probably 45 for you, Leroy, 9mm for me, I would assume.
Actually, I had both. Right before someone mobilizes, they make them go through Fort Jackson, and they have to requal on all of that. So I was blessed on that front.
Yeah, I did 45 and shoddy on my ship, and then got qualled on 50 cal.
That's fun.
Yeah, it's really fun. But later, that's not enough to go and work with the teams. And you are in a situation where if the team is entering a certain way, you're going to enter in that same capacity, and you have to have some basic skill sets. Jump qualification, dive qualifications, and nothing like buds. But this has turned into something that Leroy can talk more about as someone who's badged in it. But there's a little bone of contention that, anyway, so in 94, 95, they established, 95, 96 was full rollout of NSWAG and Naval Special Warfare Activity Group 1 and Naval Special Warfare Activity Group 2. And ISs were brought into this, and they were both out of Little Creek and on the East Coast, and then now has expanded to West Coast, San Diego, Coronado, and Little Creek, where and DevGru used to be in Norfolk, Virginia Beach, but not Dam Neck. Dam Neck is the Naval Marine Corps Intelligence Training Center where Leroy and I did most of our intelligence training and have done other trainings, but that's where we were in Dam Neck. But DevGru wasn't at Dam Neck. Now, DevGru would travel to Dam Neck quite often, and there would be briefings constantly, and you would see team guys there, not from when you are in intel class, but later when you get into your C school and you get into the more secure areas of Dam Neck, you would see team guys in there doing briefings and such. But now DevGru is in Dam Neck. So a little bit different than when I was in and Leroy was in, but now things have changed. And I'm right about that, right? DevGru is now Dam Neck. Is that correct?
As far as I know, I think that's correct. And I have never really, I haven't been down there in a dog's age, so I don't know for sure. But last I understand, yeah, you're right.
Okay, so and Little Creek is absolutely, naval amphibious warfare right there in Little Creek. But as far as the teams, that's kind of home touch point. And the reason why is what they found, especially after 9/11, is that the intelligence community was a great resource, but intel would not get to the teams at a fast enough standpoint, and they were having lagging indicators in their overall operational readiness and success based upon not having real-time intel that couldn't be squawked over standard comms or couldn't be achieved with a normal ISR. So you would bring intelligence with you for debrief, counterintelligence measures, any interrogation, working along other specified groups. Like CIA works very closely with DevGru. The reason why I'm going into all this is because Leeroy and I have a very different relationship. We're not ground pounders, and we're not downrange combat veterans. But there's another side to that, is that our role is not specific to sitting in a JIC. Leeroy, help me explain this.
Sure.
Go
So
ahead.
as the ISs within their respective units, they're going to be trained in a couple of different specialty areas. So you're going to have some guys that are focused solely on imagery, another guy that is a strike package kind of guy, and ultimately each one of those disciplines gets them to within different functions within the Navy community. Sometimes, and this is more often with ISs than anything else, is that they will occasionally be forward mobilized with a team. And and it's not with the intention of, oh my God, all these ISs are now, borderline SEALs. No, not even close.
Not even close.
But what they do is they offer a form of high side kind of background. And when I say high side, I'm talking about the classified stuff. And so that if a team guy says, hey, I am to understand that we are going to, we have been tasked to take care of this target. Can you work me up all of the intel, right, that I think I'm going to need on said target, and then present it to us, right? And so what the ISs do is they've been given a pretty high level clearance. Like congressmen don't get this kind of clearance normally. And so you will go through various databases and you will dig up everything that you can for these teams, so that when they get forward, when they move to actually perform their mission, they're not blind. They know what to expect in all aspects of the mission. And then you'll have another set of ISs who are literally watching these guys on FMV, full motion video. These are the ISs that are imagery trained specifically, who will act as eyes above a target and say, hey, we see that you're traveling north. You keep going for another half mile and then turn left. You're clear. Wait, stop. Don't go any further. There's somebody nearby. So you'll have different ISs that perform different functionalities as support for the teams.
And then there's another level. And that level is a little bit more complicated. And these are specified by billets.
Yes.
Okay? So my C schools that I went through, I had two fundamental C schools. One A school, two C schools. And Leeroy will tell you most intel guys don't get two C schools unless you've re-upped or you're outside your first 4 years. But in your first service, first term, first deployment, you're not getting two C schools. And I was one of the only that I know of who got two C schools. And there's really kind of a reason for that. And the wheels were greased for some reason. And I could sit here and try to pontificate and speculate, and I won't. I'll just tell you that I did well in A school. Op Intel, I was successful. I was top 2 in my class. C school for strike, I was number 1 in my class. And then this is where it gets interesting. In billets, you have multiple different types of billets. Now, we've talked about naval special warfare, but EXW is expeditionary warfare, which Leeroy is qualled in and badged in. You've got counterintelligence. You've got cyber warfare. These are specialities within the intelligence community, and there's a ton of them.
Mm-hmm.
But the NSW is naval special warfare, and when you say naval special warfare, everybody on the planet Earth will say, SEALs, you're a SEAL. No, that's you've got to be careful, because before 95, 96, naval special warfare was pretty much exclusive to SEALs, CBs, and a couple EOD and a couple of other classes. But once they opened up NSWAG, an activity group, is that you started seeing multiple MOSs, what you would call an MOS or a rate, come into the team communities and work with naval special warfare. And this is also a badged, but it's classified as a C school as well. So you can be imagery analysis, you can be strike, you can do whatever, but you can all go ahead.
I have a friend of mine who's a mineman and is with the teams.
Right. So that's what kind of changed, but it started with ISs. ISs kicked it off in 95, 96, and about 2011, they opened it up to multiple rates, realizing that the teams needed support in different facets. So why the fuck am I telling you all this information, right? I mean, I understand you're probably just like, come on, Matt, why are we talking about this? The reason why we're talking about this is because there is something that's taken place, and I'm trying to open this up. 1 second. There it is. Olivia didn't refresh it. I'm going to leave. Guys, I know we got donations coming in. I'm going to leave this off until Olivia gets here. She went to go get yogurt for Hayden to support her, so hang in. So why are we talking about this? Okay. In this process, okay, you have the years that I was in prior to 2001, 9/11. A lot of people consider one of the slowest times in warfare in the last 40 years was between the years of like 1994 to like 1999, 98, that not a lot was happening. Now, I will tell you that that's not true. A lot happened. It's just most of it was classed. And the work we did, you can hear about now. For instance, South Korea calling for martial law because Communist Party takeover. Well, we were responsible. Now I can talk about it because today I saw it in the paper. We were tracking the mini SDV subs that were being pushed from North Korea, landing in South Korea for guerrilla warfare. And this has been going on for 30 years. And they've been taking North Korea commandos and North Korea military and putting them in South Korea to matriculate and to assimilate to South Korean cultures and cities. So if there was going to be an attack, that they could create guerrilla warfare in South Korea. These units are starting to pop off. And we were tracking these guys 30 years ago. Well, that's something that we did, okay? South America was a huge area of opportunity for us. You can look at Russia trying to go ahead and put into Iraq after the Iraq War, Hong SS submarines and other type of submarines that were obsolete to their current forces, and moving these and relocating these into Iraq. We track those. There's a lot of things that took place that we couldn't talk about then, but absolutely were really kind of laying the ground for work for what we would see happen after 9/11. And there's that type of inter-service rivalry, right? Where it's like, okay, not only are you over here, but you didn't see combat. You didn't see, you weren't in OIF, OEF, you weren't in Storm, you weren't in SHIELD. Therefore, you don't, have any experience, or you can't talk. So that's a form of inter-service rivalry. And really that only matters after you're out, because nobody really fucking cares when you're in. So
no, they don't.
They don't. And so needless to say, I will tell you that you might watch like the TV show SEAL Team and see, Jason, the Team 6 commander, he's Bravo 1, and he sees a support guy and he's a complete dick to him. Unless he's a shitbag, that doesn't happen. At least when you are working in the Naval Special Warfare community, okay? Unless you're a shitbag and you get somebody hurt, or you give information that isn't correct, or you put your stamp on something when there's pushback and say, I'm certain, and you repeatedly put someone in danger, or you are, in the bar and you're talking about how fucking great you are and that you're a SEAL, unless you're a shitbag, there's really none of that. But I'm segueing into this and setting this up because there is something that happens in the U.S. military once you get into the civilian life. That is a form of inter-service rivalry that has nothing to do with what you did or or how much dirt you chewed or water you swallowed. There is a business inter-service rivalry where veterans treat each other like absolute dog shit when it comes to businesses. And I want to be clear because this is something I know intimately, because I've worked with a shit ton of 501c3s. And I have worked with some of the largest 501c3s, from Toyota to Comcast, to the Purple Heart Foundation, to the Travis Manion Foundation, to Tunnels for Towers, to Hiring Our Heroes. We can go on and on and on. Know the CEOs, the former CEOs, and the current CEO of Grunt Style personally. Nine Line, know the guys in Nine Line. Presented with flags of valor and helped assist with the Brahma Bowl for Brock and gave him the FOV flag that we gave to a Paralympian. I mean, I know, and I've sat at SHOT Show with all these guys. Mm-hmm. And I've had whiskey with these guys. This is how Eli Crane and I wound up meeting, and a few other guys. Is veterans are very territorial.
Oh yeah.
And they don't like other veteran businesses. Like, if all the veteran businesses in the United States formed together, we could literally impact soldier suicide and homeless veterans like that, with the amount of money out there. All the different coffees and all different shoes and hats and clothing lines. Everyone comes together, podcasts, but they don't. And it's very niche. And there's people who've kind of taken sides. And what we didn't see in the military, or what we did see from the inter-service rivalry, has transferred over to business. And Delta guys spend time with Delta guys. Force Recon spends time with Force Recon. Team guys spend time with teams. SAS, Delta, Mossad, everybody kind of stays in their cliques and might occasionally bring somebody over, but there is a DevGru network like Jocko, like Goggins,
sure.
like Mark, like Luttrell,
Sean Ryan.
Right? Sean Ryan. Mm-hmm. These guys are all, they got each other's back, right? And then you got the Delta operators who are, the shit of the shit, and I mean that in a good way. They're shit hot. And Delta guys are kind of together. I've noticed a trend, and I'm sorry this is so long, but it's really want to explain this. I've noticed a trend that there are groups that specifically shit on each other when they reach a certain point of success. Like Jocko Willink, I don't know if you've noticed this, but Jocko is hardly anywhere to be found now. Jocko was everywhere a year and a half ago. You could not turn on any social media or any podcast without hearing Jocko's name. And what happened? What always happens is you get to a certain level and then they tear you down and destroy you. They tried to do this with Rogan. You saw him do it with J.K. Rowling. I mean, who's not military, but just they do it with everybody, that you get to a certain level of success. And once you get on people's radar, people put you on lock and start lobbing fucking weapons downrange in your area.
Because people don't like the others who succeed. If you succeed and it's due to your own merits and hard work, people will find a reason to hate you and try and tear that away from you.
That's right. Never meet your heroes, right? So I'm going to explain two situations. One is Tim Kennedy, who's Green Beret, UFC fighter, works with Sheepdog Response, and is a very popular veteran. I've actually had a chance to meet Tim Kennedy 2 times, and I'll tell you exactly where I met him. I met him in a hotel, I believe in the Mirage in Las Vegas, and we were on the same elevator, and he walked on, and he had a headset in, and he looked at me and looked me up and down, quick look. I looked at him, and I'm like, "Hi, Tim." And he's like, "Hey, man." And that was our first time. Second time was at SHOT Show, and I was near the Sig Sauer booth, and I know Eli was over there, and I just got done talking to Eli because we were drinking the night before at Burbiz, and I went over there and said hi, and there was a couple Force Recon guys and whatever, and I went over to Sig, and then I went over and I moved over to H&K because they had an MP5 on display that I wanted to shoot. So I went over there to talk to H&K, and when I did, Tim Kennedy starts walking down, and there are people surrounding him, and he's beelining, and I want to say that he had on t-shirt, like a baby blue t-shirt, and chinos, and maybe a pair of sandals or something, and glasses on his head, and he was walking by. And when he walked by, I almost bumped into him. Now I'm 6'4". I tower over Tim. I make Tim Kennedy look like a fucking midget. Tim's a broad, big dude, but he's not stature. You know, he doesn't walk into a room and you can see him, you know, with 10,000 people, you don't go, "Hey, there's Tim Kennedy." You actually would have to be within 20 feet of him. And when he came by and I was walking, he bumped into me pretty good. And his reaction was, you just knew that this guy was not soft. He grabbed me, one hand on my shoulder, one hand on my waist like that, and he balanced me because, you know, he bumped into me hard. But his reaction was like this. So you knew he was martial arts. You knew he had quick reaction, and he stabilized me. And he's like, "You good?" And I'm like, "Yeah, man, I'm outstanding. Thanks so much." And he's like, "I'm sorry, I kept my head down. I should keep my head up." And he's like, "Oh man, no, I do it all the time in these things. These things are crazy. You having a good time?" And I said, "Yeah." And he's like, "Who are you with?" And I said, "FOV, Flags of Valor." He's like, "Flags of Valor." He's like, "Oh yeah, Flags of Valor." And he's like, "Where are you going right now?" I said, "Over to HK." He's like, "All right." And he was late to do a speaker PA meeting with I don't know who, but he was going to go ahead and talk to a group of people. He was late. He waited. And he must have spent, I don't know, 45 seconds just shooting the shit. He's like, "All right, well, brother, I appreciate it." And he tapped me on the arm like that. And he's like, "Solid." That was it. And just nice guy, man. And then made my day. I'm like, holy fuck, Tim Kennedy, who is 6-packed out, called me solid. That makes me feel good for an older guy. And he left me better than he found me.
Yeah.
So do I like Tim Kennedy? Sure. Does that mean that I know what he did in the military? Well, I've read his book. I know what he said he's done, and I know firsthand accounts from other people said what he's done. But I would never stand up on a dais or a you know, on the stand and put my hand on a Bible and attest to Tim Kennedy outside of the 2 times that I've talked to him and spent time with him. I can speak on those 2 situations, and otherwise, no matter what, my mouth is best used for chewing at this point. I know you're just waiting, and I'm sorry, but I'm almost done. So what's the lesson here? Do I know Tim Kennedy? Probably better than most people, because most people never even met him.
Right.
And I know I've studied and read about him and learned about him, and I know enough that I probably can say, you meet 100 people, out of 98, I probably know him better than those 100 people. But does that mean I'm his friend? No. Does that mean I can speak on his service? No. Does that mean I can go ahead and tell you because I hear an initial report where he makes a claim that I don't think is possible, that somehow I get to discredit him? No. Thank you, Bobby.
Thank you, Bobby.
even if there's inconsistencies in his story, it's not my place. Because one, I'm not a member of his community. That's the first thing. I am not part of his tribe. Tim Kennedy is a Green Beret. I am not a Green Beret. Tim Kennedy is a soft operator, and I am not a soft op. I know it's not on. It was on purpose. I was waiting for you to come home. Okay. Liv, send it again. Delete it and send it again. I'm not a soft operator, but just because I work to the Special Forces community, does that give me a right to talk and judge Tim Kennedy or Marcus Luttrell or Jocko or Eli? I've shared whiskey with Eli. Does that mean that I get to say no? Now, even if I somehow was a part of a debrief with Tim Kennedy involved, which I very rarely would be unless I'm doing like a JTF or some joint task force, which I never did with anybody specifically in Tim's unit or anything else. The only way that I would ever speak on that experience, certainly wouldn't be in a book, would be under a court-martial situation or a CID investigation, or with my commanding officer or someone who is read in, who is asking me a question directly related, who has the ability to hear about that event and has reason to know it. I'm not going to talk about it in a book. I'm not going to go ahead and speculate. I'm not even in a civilian court going to raise my hand and say a word. I'll go to jail first.
Right.
The reason why this is important is because we have lost something in this community that I can speak on. Because this is a standard that is the same in the teams, MARSOC, even overseas, SAS, Mossad, MI6, whatever. Thank you very much, Amy.
Thank you, Amy.
It is that quiet professionalism is single-handedly the golden rule in this community. And that the people who are talking about what they didn't do it. Or they're talking about it and they are opening themselves up to ridicule, conjecture, and this type of treatment that you're seeing. People ask me, Matt, write a book. I will write a book, and none of it will be about my service. Not one fucking word. I might say I worked Intel in the Navy, that's it. The years, rank, rate, that's it. Because I promise you that the people who were there aren't going to talk, and the people who aren't are. And I can tell you that 15 years ago, remembered every single person I went to boot camp with and every one of their names. I know everyone in my Intel class. I can't do that anymore. Thank you very much, Joseph.
Thanks,
There's
Joseph.
no way I can remember every single thing I ever did in the military compared to what I used to, because you forget things and you do it so much. And you also need to understand that a lot of these operators go through unbelievably traumatic events and they compartmentalize information, and you can't expect them to pull it back perfectly. And if they're going to open their mouth and write a book, it's going to have inconsistency. Okay, I'm going to stop here because now we're going to go into Tim Kennedy and Pete Hegseth. But what I don't and I didn't want to do was have anyone watch this podcast and go, who the fuck are you? I just told you who I am. And I told you my credo and my ethos, and I told you Leeroy will tell you his. Now you know. Not saying I'm the smartest, not saying I'm the most experienced. I did more than some. I did a hell of a lot less than others. But we're going to kind of open this can of worms here, and it's usually against my better judgment to do so, because I believe there are people out there who are specifically trying to destroy veterans to make a name for themselves, and I think it's fucking wrong. Leeroy, I'm going to shut up. I apologize. Go ahead.
That absolutely happens. You will always see the people who like to stand on the sidelines and criticize. You know, they like to backseat drivers or Sunday morning quarterback, desk chair. What do they call it? Desk chair quarterback?
Armchair quarterback, weekend warriors.
Yeah. So
Gravy seals,
the
meal
the
team
issue
6.
the issue is, and there's a really famous poem out there by Teddy Roosevelt, and it's called "The Man in the Arena," and it's very eloquent. It's beautifully written. It's too much for me to recall just at off the top of my head. But basically, the gist is that the people that criticize the warriors who are out there doing the damn job are basically the scummiest of people, and they're not to be trusted. The people, and the way the poem goes is, the people that are in the arena, whose face is marred by blood and sweat and tears, they're the ones who get all of the the kudos. They're the ones who are carrying that badge of honor, you know? Something that I'm not very good at this. Um, I've really tried to be better at it. Um, I generally speaking, I don't like to rag on people too much. I'm gonna try and do better. I swear, this is gonna be one of my goals moving forward in the show, is to not harp on people as much, pull back, and make sure that their ideas are taken into full accountability. Um, People can have wrong ideas. It happens all the time. You can be the best of people, right? And still support a bad cause. It happens. Mother Teresa, what would happen if one day I found out that Mother Teresa was a communist, right? She herself was a fantastic person, but she made an error in a judgment call. And should we tear her down completely for that? Obviously not. It's Mother Teresa. But what we
Thomas
need to
Sowell is a
do,
great example.
great example. But what we need to do is start focusing in on the ideas, right? To hold accountable people's ideas and see if they stand up under scrutiny.
Yeah, well said. So, listen, and for the people who get low, okay, for the high speed, low drag people who may be watching this show, don't fucking kid yourself. You want to have a cigar and a whiskey and get down to fucking brass tacks and start talking some serious shit. Yeah, we can play that game. And just because you have a certain level of eloquence doesn't mean you can't get down in the gutters. We're trying to bring a higher standard. And the problem with a lot of shows and podcasts is there's no credibility. And when I call out other people for their lack of credibility, especially news organizations, thank you, honey, I'm gonna call out fellow team guys and operators and military, because they're as full of shit as anybody. So here's the disclaimer. There's valor, and then there's broken sword. And the difference is that if you did it, claim it if you can. Claim it. It doesn't mean espouse and go on a fucking stage and talk about it ad nauseum and make $20,000 on the lecture circuit. It means claim it. Claim it on your DD2. Make sure your jacket is correct. If you have a Purple Heart and you were issued a Purple Heart and it's not in your jacket, there's something really fucking wrong. Okay? There's something wrong. Now, you want to talk about something you did for TDY that's not in your jacket? Okay, I buy that. You want to talk about some sort of medical something or other that you were seen for that isn't in your jacket? Okay, I believe that. You're not missing a Purple fucking Heart. Okay, I'm just letting you know.
No, that's not.
You're not missing yeah. The VA benefits alone that come along with that, and the right to service that comes along with having a Purple Heart is a completely different situation. Like, you're not going to miss a Purple Heart. You're certainly not going to miss two. Now, am I saying that military records are shit? Yes. There's no doubt. I know people who had good conduct medals or had a NAM or COM and received certain medals that weren't included in their overall service record, and they would go to admin and they would get it fixed. Real simple. You get a letter from command or adjunct general or commander on the base or whoever it would be, or your captain or whoever was in charge in your higher command, and you write a letter, and then they go ahead and they give you a letter that states that
A
you
letter
did
of
receive it.
correction.
A letter
Yeah.
of correction to your jacket. That's what happens. Okay. I had it with my back. I mean, I had to go and add a shit ton of stuff before I left. That was missed. Purple Heart. Come on. Probably not. But let's just assume.
That's not one you miss.
But let's assume it happened, right? Let's assume it happened. I'm going to show you a video with Tim Kennedy. And I owe it to Tim just by the respect he treated. He doesn't know who the fuck I am. Like, if I died tomorrow, it would make no difference to Tim Kennedy's life, trust me. But I'm going to treat him fairly. Just like I'm going to treat the Anti-Hero podcast guys fairly. Okay? Here is Tim's reaction. Now, I want you to imagine the fear, okay? You're Tim Kennedy. You've been shot at. You've been rolled up. You've been injured and hit, hurt, died, I don't know how many times, almost died how many times. You go through some of the most excruciating and toughest training in the world, multiple deployments. You're a UFC fighter. You've been bloodied and bruised and broken from some tough sons of bitches. You've been through personal struggles that we aren't aware of, maybe with wife and kids and family. We don't know his struggles. And then you find out that your brothers are making a podcast to pick you apart, and it's 3 fucking hours. 3 hours. You get a heads up from your buddies who call you and say, hey, man, I just want to let you know the Anti-Hero podcast, who has destroyed or not destroyed, have retold or made an account of somebody's declarations that has been in contradiction to what they said, that has ruined that person's reputation and career. Okay. Can you imagine the business he has, the livelihood, the endorsements he has, how much fear that would create? I don't think he was losing a ton of sleep, but I guarantee he's got to be, I'll tell you one thing I know about all these guys. They don't like to lose, and they're ready to face it head on. They're ready to go. They're ready to punch the clock and get to work. Whether it's Delta guys, Tim Kennedy, fucking Willink, it doesn't matter. Tim Kennedy made a video, and I want you to listen to it, and then I'm going to kind of go into some specifics. I really appreciate you guys handling this, because this is really important for what we're going to talk about when it comes to Pete Hegseth. Here's Tim Kennedy. You might recognize him. Take a listen.
Podcast dropped right before Thanksgiving, and they went through my book and a ton of podcasts that I've been on. They made accusations that I embellished things in the book to make myself look bigger than I am, and they accused me of stolen valor. They did this to keep veterans accountable, and to like hold a standard. Right after that, they said that they dropped one of their ads for one of their 6 major sponsors, and as it played, wow, I'm sure it has nothing to do with why they're targeting me. But on my episode, their numbers were way up. Weird, probably a coincidence that their biggest episodes involved Marcus Luttrell, Rob O'Neill, Jocko Willink, and now me. I think it's totally hypocritical and it's intellectually dishonest to be pretending that you're on the moral high ground and then misrepresenting facts, lying, paraphrasing, and then taking things out of context. They do financially better when they go after people with big followings, and thank God that, we have purists like them among us. So before I address the allegations against me, I want you to know that I knew this podcast was coming out. How? Because they contacted every single one of my teammates to try to get dirt on me. Almost everyone told them the same thing, that they weren't interested, and then they called me and let me know. A couple of people that I've never been on a team with, they talked to them, and that's totally their right. I'm not mad whatsoever, and they should tell their stories, just like I told mine. But this idea that there is some universal truth that is, the opposite of what I said is absolutely absurd. I am a Green Beret. I was a UFC fighter. I am a Special Forces sniper. I went to Sephardic. I'm a graduate. I went to Ranger School. I was part of Afghanistan during the evacuation. I went to Ukraine immediately following the Russian invasion. I'm an Iraq and Afghanistan combat veteran, and I didn't see anyone from the podcast in any of those places. War stories are never the same. And ask any.
That is a very interesting point. I never saw any of those guys where I was. And when you're talking about, listen, a scenario may sound completely full of shit. There's no doubt.
Sure.
Do you know how many times I've told my backstory and how I injured my back, and people go, "Oh, you stole that from Bear Grylls"? No, it's just that Bear Grylls and I had almost the identical situation take place. And I did it before him. So I win. He copied me, the fucker. But you got people who are like, you're telling that story and you made it up because I've heard that story from someone. Folks, when you are jumping out of a plane, there are only so many things that can go wrong. And all of those things sequentially can happen repeatedly, because that's what happens when bad shit happens. Just because, thank you so much, Thomas.
Thank you, Thomas.
Just because something happened to me, I can tell you that I know many people who went through the same situation that I did. And most people, when they're jumping out of planes, hurt themselves the same way. Something unexpected happened. And it's not that your chute doesn't open, because those usually end only one way. But there are mechanical failures that can happen. And that is why you painstakingly go through on the ground most of these situations and practice them from 2 feet, 5 feet, 10 feet, 50 feet, 100 feet, 1,000 feet, and then you go jump. So I can understand what he's saying. If you weren't there, how do you know? Leeroy, did you want to chime in on that?
No. I mean, I think that's an absolutely valid point. There's been a lot of times throughout all of our careers, everyone in the military, I assume, where somebody will have done something. There's no one else around. They're going to tell the story, and then their buddies are going to say, "Oh, you're full of shit,"
Right.
And
Right.
it can and does happen. Who's to say, right? I wasn't there. In terms of Tim Kennedy, again, I wasn't there. How would I know? But that's why he wrote a book, and when you go through Ranger School, when you go through Sniper School, when you have mobilized to Afghanistan and have put in the work and have a resume that backs it up, when you have been granted a security clearance, there's a certain level of, okay, he's for real.
He checked the box.
Exactly. It's not bullshit. You can tell that he's a legit guy.
Yeah.
And so when those cases like that pop up, you kind of have to look at the resume and go, oh, okay, well, there's something legitimate here.
Right. And if you don't think that Leeroy and I haven't checked each other out, at least from our conversations early in our relationship, to identify that, the boathouse door is blue, then you just don't understand the way that the community works. It's the language that we possess, although might be different now, or I may not be perfect. Leeroy doesn't go to me when I like Master Chief Petty Officer of the Navy. You say MCPON? You say MCPON. Right. Okay, so MC Pon is the way that I said it one night. And I don't know why I said it that way. The other night I said something when I was talking about CT, crypto technologies, and CT was, what was the CT?
Counterterrorism.
Counterterrorism. Because CT is a rate in the Navy. So we're getting old, folks. Cut us some fucking slack. But that doesn't make you immediately go, oh, dude, this guy doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. Bro, I haven't been in 25 years, okay? Long fucking time.
It's not even that. There are so many acronyms baked into just being in the military that it's not unheard of to hear an acronym, you get married to it, because next thing you know, you've gone through the C school or you've done the job. And so forever forward, you're going to hear that acronym and go, oh, well, that's this thing. And then you're going to find out later, oh, well, somebody else went through another C school. They use the same acronym, and it means something completely different.
Right.
Quick story, and this is a true story.
Good.
I went from being an electronic warfare technician on a ship. And one of the things that they use on a ship is something called radar absorbing materials.
RAM.
And yeah, and it's a very technical thing. Cool, right? Dealt with it. I know what it is. Fast forward 20 years, 30 years, I'm taking a separate advancement exam as an IS, and I'm given a list of multiple guess questions. What does RAM stand for? And I'm like, oh, well, that's easy. Wait, none of these are it. What are they trying to pull? I know what RAM is.
Right.
And what they were referring to was random anti-terror, random anti-terrorist measures. And it was a security question. So it happens all the time.
Random access memory, right? If you're a computer
Another
geek.
one. Sure.
So what? But how did I know it was radar absorbent material, right? RAM. He could have said RAM, and I would have said radar absorbent material immediately, because as an IS, that RAM is going to be 9 times out of 10 if something is stealth or has the opportunity to be stealthy. Radar absorbent material is a huge aspect of that. So that's part of intel training. So we speak the same language, but some person, it's like Marines. Okay, there was a Marine one time that had the unfortunate incident in Yokosuka, new fresh fucking from Paris Island or wherever the fuck they were at, 21 Stumps or wherever. And I don't even know. Do they do boot in Paris Island anymore, or is it just 29 Stumps?
They do.
Okay, so still in Paris Island. But anyway, so he comes on base and he says he sees a Navy guy and he calls him a pogue versus a pog. People other than grunts, and he just says it wrong. Sure. Oh man, they fucking hit him like 40 fucking. I'm talking, just started beating the shit out of his arm, and and I'm just like, geez, man, fuck, I mean, it's like, come on. So there are people who are waiting for one thing for you to say so they can go, aha, you liar. Now, let's finish the rest of what Tim had to say. Here we go.
One who's been to combat or review board what happens when you interview 5 guys in the same battle, you're going to get 5 different stories. And if there's a feed running, you get a 6th. At the beginning of my book, I literally outlined that fact.
Explain to him, explain to everybody in 15 seconds or less what he means by a feed running.
FMV type feed. So if there's overhead imagery, if there's a drone is what most people would call it, overhead that is just soaking up imagery, you'll have an analyst who's not terrestrial to the happenings of what's going on with the team, but they're just watching it through like a TV. And so that person is also going to have a separate story from each and every one of the team guys.
See, and he calls it FMV. And like, I have never called it FMV in my life. FMV is full motion video in salesman language for TVs and such, but it's ISR. Like, ISR. That's what ISR is. And it's intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance. That's it. Every type of drone, every type of heat signature, radar bloom, whatever it is, it's all ISR and it's all support staff stuff. But I'm not going to go to him and go, why are you calling it FMV, dude? It's called ISR. Because that, first of all, that's what's known as being chicken shit. Okay. And a chicken shit in the military is right up there with shitbag. Chicken shit is like an officer who comes out and says your gig line isn't fucking straight when it's 3 centimeters tap dead center. And they're like, you know what? I'm gonna write you up because your gig line isn't straight. And you're overseas, you're in the real Navy, and you're like, are you fucking kidding me? Really? Right. This is the guy? Or your salute wasn't crisp enough as you pass by. Those people are chicken shit. Okay, here's the rest of Tim.
I could. There's no chance that my version is 100% reality and accurate, but that is what I remember. It's reality to the best of my recollection, and that was supported with my journals and supporting interviews of other people throughout the whole entire book. With that being said, I want to address a few things. And not everything, because they went off for 3 hours about all of the things that I have done wrong and all of the inaccuracies. So let's get into it. Number 1, did I fail sniper school? And this is the intellectually dishonest thing where, and super hypocritical, because they're taking things out of context. Yes, I did fail sniper school. You could say that. What happened is when I got my sniper school date, it was going to be 10 days before my own wedding. So I asked Sergeant Major Fernandez, Conrad Fernandez, if I could go to a different class. Man, and he gave me a tough pill to swallow. He says, yeah, man, but what you have to do is you have to show up on day one, because if you no-show, we will lose our slot to a future course. And show up and you're gonna have to fail. So I went 0 for 25 for the Special Forces Sniper School shoot-in. And then I went to the very next class and graduated. That's what happened. For Ranger School, man, that was 20 years ago. And this is just one of the failures of the editing and book process is I knew I was one of the honor graduates. I didn't know what award I got. And Nick, I, and the editor, complete failure and oversight as an honor graduate, of me getting the tomahawk and getting the award with my team sergeant and my team leader, Ed Wings and Mike Gomez. Love you guys. 20 years removed, being a graduate, and then immediately going on another trip, I couldn't remember which award I got.
Now, okay, boot camp. I was selected as honor man for boot camp. Did you get into that at all or anything like that? They select you as honor man?
I was on the honor guard.
Oh, you were honor guard. Okay, so you're completely different. So he's flying the colors. He's doing marching. I mean, he's super fucking special anyway. He gets to eat fucking lunch before everyone else. And come on, dude. That's what honor guard was. I
also got to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning and go work out. And,
whatever.
Yeah. Talk about
just so you could learn how
honor guard privilege.
Just so you could just learn how to turn left properly. Anyway, no, honor guard is an amazing thing. Everyone gets like a 5-second tryout. I did not make it in any way, shape, or form. But what I did have the honor to do was be selected honor man in boot camp, and I got to go against. I got to go against 11 other. What do we call it? It wasn't battalions. It was what do we call ourselves? Was it division in boot camp?
Hold on.
Were we divisions?
Company.
That's right. Company. So I got to go. It's actually 9 other companies. It's 2 of the companies. One of them is like Bay 13, which is like all the fucking Chapter 8s and Section 13 type mentally guys who want to kill themselves the moment they get to boot camp. But anyway, I got to go against 9 others, and I had a military board, and I fucking bombed. Oh, I was horrible. And I walked in, and I couldn't answer anything. But I was shit hot, man. I mean, my rack was perfect. My shoes were always gorgeous. I drilled like a mother humper. I never cheated. I never did chest push-ups. I was always in the air. You could stick a foot under me. Abandoned ship. I was always helping people. I was always carrying people on runs. I was great at what I did. And I also had the best penmanship in the entire fucking company. So I was always on watch when inspection was happening because my book was perfect. I was good, but I could not handle a panel. But I remember that. The reason why is one of the most embarrassing moments of my life. But this guy got the tomahawk. He just showed you the picture. So now what have we learned in this show over 4 years? Once you find that they lied about something and they're wrong, now you can start peeling back the onion. Now you can start saying, hey, wait a second. Tim just proved them wrong on something. So what else did they get wrong? That's my first thing. Anything that you see on this, buddy?
No, I absolutely. You know, when people write books, a lot of times it's not like when someone is outlining their military career, they're going to go through all of the details to say, oh, well, I went through I went through a sniper school and I failed it the first time because I was going to go get married. They're not going to, a lot of times for the purposes of brevity, so that you don't end up with a book that is literally the size of War and Peace, they will just give as part of their bibliography.
Right.
Yep. Went to sniper school, did this and this and this and this. So a lot of those details, you know, that have not come to light, and let's face it, I mean, if I was going to write a book, there'd be some embarrassing things that I would not want necessarily known, but I'd own up to them. But it's not
Right.
like I would be exactly forthcoming with the fact that, oh, when I was in Greece, I got so shit hammered that, you know, I ended up butt ass naked in an alley. You know, you're not going to say some things. You're gonna leave those parts of it out.
Right. I'm not going to talk about the blanket parties in fucking A school where, you know, a couple guys decided to beat the shit out of it. I'm not going to talk about that, right? I'm not going to talk about Hong Kong. I'm not going to talk about the drinking. I'm not going to talk about a lot of stuff. But it doesn't mean that
It didn't happen.
It didn't happen. Right. Okay.
Complete mistake on that part. Then for Sephardic, another thing that you took out of context. Yes, I have been to Sephardic 2 times. I've successfully completed Sephardic 2 times. I consider that a great and wonderful thing because it has a very high attrition rate. The first time I went to Sephardic, B17, 7th Group, Bravo Company, 1st Battalion, they were covering down on the C-37 mission in South America, while C-37 went to Iraq for that mission right there, to go and hunt and be part of a special operations task force hunting Zarqawi. For them to cover down on that mission, they had to have the skills that were taught during Sephardic. They've never sent an entire company before. I was already in C-37, but you have to be a Sephardic graduate to be in C-37. So this was my class to go to Sephardic. They didn't issue anybody the identifier for completing that Sephardic class because they taught an entire company. So went to Iraq, came back, and went back to Sephardic and graduated a second time. It's pretty.
I get 100%. I am 100% back him up on this. That's called buffet training, and it happens all the time in the military where you're training a group of people to get people spun up all at once, and you're going to mass train people, and there's really no special recognition of that training, although that training may be very special and specific in its design. Leroy, yes, okay, all right, good. We're on the same page.
Awesome. The non-Purple Heart. First of all, it's insane that you're using like a 2011 DD-214 as your document of proof. You know, it's 13 years old now. A lot of things have changed in the career since then. But one of the things that wasn't on that DD-214 is a Purple Heart. I was injured while I was in combat, and you can watch. You can go back to fights in 2003, 4, 5, and 6, and you're going to see my neck and my back one way, and then from 2007, 8, 9, until today, you'll be like, whoa, he looks significantly different. And you're going to notice a bunch of brown marks on my shoulder and my neck. What I didn't have is a chain of command, a direct chain of command. I was not on an ODA when I went to Afghanistan in 2008. I didn't have a team leader. I didn't have a team sergeant. I didn't have anyone putting me in for orders.
Oh, that's a different situation. See, I didn't know that. So that it makes it a completely and the reason why he's telling you that is if he doesn't have someone who's putting him in for orders, and he doesn't have a DR or direct report, and he doesn't have a commanding officer, he doesn't have a team leader, squad leader, or somebody that he's to report to, he doesn't have medics, and he's using field medics, and he's not going to any field hospital, or he's not going to the VA, records are going to get lost downrange. Now a Purple Heart, it's still hard for me to believe, but that makes a little more sense. Leroy,
I know exactly how that would have happened. And within the realm of the DD-214s, I will tell you, I have 4 different copies.
Me too.
DD-214s.
You're damn right.
Each one of them have a little bit different information each time. And it's
Correct.
because when you go to process out, they're going to say, oh, well, so while you were there, you got the GWAT, you got this, you got that, you got your, double E award, whatever the case may be. And then later, right, they're going to make adjustments to it. So let's say you get mobilized from February of one year to February of the next year. In the case of Tim, he goes and does this thing, gets out of the military. Does that mean that his award, whoever's writing his awards, that they're going to say, oh, well, he's out now. No, that's not how it works.
That's right.
Once you've completed your service, right, doesn't mean you've gotten all of your awards yet. So he may have collected his DD-214. Hey, this is the list of everything that I did while I was on mobilization, and there are still future awards that have yet to come. That happens all the time.
Yeah, and it's not like you can't get a Purple Heart after your service record is finalized and reviewed. Exactly. That's the thing you need to understand, is a lot of these after action reports aren't filed and reviewed for you until those specific people do end service, and it's looked over. That's not the way this works. And posthumous awards are handed out all the time, and people go, well, how did that person get a CMH, or how did that person get a Navy Cross? And they're dead. Well, because they review records for another reason and then uncover this and go, holy shit, here's something that needs to be discussed. Now, Tim Kennedy, he's still in the military. So he's still, I don't know if I'm pretty sure he's active, or he's reserves, maybe reserves. I don't know. I'm not going to speak on it. But if that's the case, then there are awards that can be given out from command, or whoever he reported to at that point when he's getting medical treatment, and is issued what is called a field medal, or a little bit different. You're receiving it in combat time, in a combat zone, to be recognized for what you did. But to get the full certification and have that attached to your military service records, it does not happen necessarily, especially when you're doing fucking black pajama work.
Yes.
And he's doing black pajama work, guys. It's not like he's punching the clock 9 to 5. I mean, he's doing stuff after hours. He's doing stuff solo. And as we know from Delta, we know for certain Ranger battalions, these guys are fucking doing solo work. A lot of Delta guys go out by themselves. And that's completely antithetical to SEAL teams. It's antithetical to Force Recon and most Special Forces units. Delta and certain Ranger battalions will work autonomous from their chain of command. Go ahead, buddy.
Also, one of the other things I was going to say is, so let's say somebody goes on mobilization, they go and do a killer job. By the time they go to demobilized, right, whoever is processing that paperwork, they're going to say, oh, well, this person gets this standard set of medals because that's normally what we give when people are out in theater, right? But then you're going to have some colonel, some commander, somebody who after the fact is going to say, oh, that person did an excellent job on this. And we know that because here's the thing, the people who work with JSOC, there is a specific set of awards that are written for the JSOC group that is completely independent from the award writers at, say, a NOSC or an NRC or some admin group at an average Army battalion, right? So the JSOC people will write that award independently, mail it to the guy, and then it'll be up to him to take that to his regular Army group and say, hey, by the way, they sent me this. I need to have that added to my record. It's not going to be on his DD-214 because that's already been issued.
Right.
And that kind of thing happens all the time. And
I want to correct field service medal, field commendation medal. So you get it in the field and you get it from your command. Now, here's another thing. Like, let's give you one other example. And some people might be like, oh, fuck, why are we doing this? Because this is important, dude. That's why. Here's the other thing. Name. Now, when he's talking about command medals, is like, say there's a theater of operation. Let's say COM 7th Fleet, okay, is going to go in and they are going to a theater of operation and they are going in a wartime situation. The command will receive a certain level of medals that anyone who was serving on that ship during that time in that battle group will receive a group of medals. Does that mean that there are not individual medals handed out? Of course there are. Here's a perfect example. When you get the Battle E. So Leeroy, tell them what the Battle E is.
So a Battle E is when your ship that you're stationed on, right? They go through a series of excellence tests, and if they meet all of the criteria, then they will win this as a collective unit. The ship will win this Battle E, and everyone who is attached to the ship during that period of performance will be authorized to wear a Battle E.
Right. USS Enterprise got Battle E. I don't know how many clusters she had. It doesn't matter. She must have won it 7, 8, 9 times at least. But that's when I was in. So we got Battle E. Now let me ask you a question. If you check off your Battle E in the Persian Gulf, what else are you going to get as a command during wartime?
So you're going to get your at sea, your sea service deployment ribbon. You're going to get, probably a GWAT or some sort of anti-terrorism award. There will be a specific set of almost like cookie cutter awards that someone would be awarded.
Correct.
Where it gets more interesting is, let's say after that deployment happens, you come home, right? All of a sudden you find out, oh, well, this special forces group that we were working with, but nobody knew at the time, they got awarded a presidential unit commendation, or a PUC. Next thing you know, the entire ship could end up in a situation where, without them even knowing that they were participating with it, they will be authorized to wear presidential unit commendation. Scary stuff.
Same thing happens. That's exactly right. Now, not only that, but there are also personal achievements that happen posthumously from the events itself. And these can come out a year or two afterwards. Man, Navy Achievement Medal is a perfect example. So, or accommodation medal is that you may not see it. I didn't see my first NAM. I wound up getting like 3 NAMs in a period of like, I don't know, 1 year. But they were from all different times. It happens. So, you can sit here, and that's about as much as I talk about my service. But the point is, we have anecdotal experience and experiential learning between the both of us where we can say, yeah, we're not Rangers, we're not Special Forces, we're not SEALs, but we understand what Tim Kennedy's saying here. Now, am I defending everything with Tim Kennedy? No, but I am aligning with the things that actually do not, that pass the sniff test, that it's not rotten in Denmark. It's not a lie and a fart in a car. These things that he's saying up to this point are accurate. Here it is.
Came out of
Absolutely.
Valley after those ambushes, and then we made it back out of Firebase Anaconda by the grace of God and by the heroes to my left and to my right. Like, they're 100% the heroes in all of this. There's no one. I just wanted to stay in the fight. There was no one to put me in for any awards. There was no one there to do anything. I was a coalition asset traveling with a NATO allied partner in and out of that place. When I retire, when I'm no longer useful in the military, when I don't get to wear the uniform and the flag, which is like the greatest honor of my life, to have the opportunity to be next to the men and women, the best and the brightest in this country. When that day comes, and I'm sure I'm rounding the bend on it, I'll fix all that. I've never been the great paperwork guy, the great admin guy. I've definitely never been the guy that's going to walk into the med shed to have something get fixed. Like, we're going to fix it with the 18 Delta. And I hope that young soldiers are way smarter than me and that they don't do that, because it creates a lot more pain later in their career, as you can see. But yeah, that is not on my records, and that will get fixed when I finally hang them up. Another thing in the book.
Now, to me, he's saying he was never issued a Purple Heart. That's what I'm hearing, is that he was injured in combat, which means that he's due a Purple Heart. But right. I don't know if he's actually been awarded a Purple Heart, because if it's true what he just said, that it's not in his jacket and there was no command, he is going to have to go and prove with medical records, after action reports, et cetera, sit reps, that he was hurt in combat. He'll have to get that correction letter from whoever his direct was, which he has to report to somebody. That they just go, here, Tim Kennedy, here's some grenades, here's some fucking, here's some ammo. Go punch your own ticket and do whatever you want. That's later in the CIA. But with this, he's going to have to, I hear what I think what he's saying is that I'm due a Purple Heart or 2. Right. But I never got that. And that's a fucking no-no, Timmy. And you're never supposed
to assume an award.
That's fucked up. That's fucked up. If you did that, You owe an apology to your readers, your fans, fellow military members. You owe an apology. I got fucked up in the military. It was in a combat zone. I need a fucking Purple Heart too. I think I deserve one. That's not the way this works, yo. You know that.
Yeah.
So
You don't get one for hanging, that's for sure.
Right. If he's saying that, then this is the first black mark where I would say, Tim, you done fucked up. That's what it sounds like to me he's saying. Leeroy, am I wrong or right or what?
No, that is what it sounds like he's saying. And he may have been told by his command at some point, we will put a Purple Heart, we will put you in for a Purple Heart at some point, maybe when you're separating, right? And that's a problem because you're never supposed to assume an award.
That's right.
Because it may not happen. And then what happens? You've written it down in a book and now you look like a jackass. It can happen. That's not to say that he wasn't injured, potentially even in a combat situation. I didn't read his book, so I'm trying to make that very clear. I didn't read any of his
it was combat related, bro. It was combat related from what he said.
But just because someone gets injured in combat, there's a little bit of an assumption there to say, oh, well, I have a Purple Heart that's forthcoming. You hold on. You don't write that until you actually have it.
The thing is people are saying, well, it takes many years to get your Purple Heart. We're well aware. I just said that with Navy accommodation medals, which are given out a dime a dozen. I mean, NAMs are like, fuck, if you go on deployment and you don't get a NAM, you better just fucking, you better process out because you're a shitbag. But no offense. I know there's a lot of guys who served who didn't get Navy accommodation medals or didn't get exceptional service, but you know what? You're no offense. It's not that hard. Do your job, do it well, and you'll get a NAM. But
if your chief takes care of you.
Right. That's fucking so, yes. But with Tim Kennedy, I'm not saying, listen, Tim Kennedy, if he was not awarded a Purple Heart and someone gave him the put it on the finger, you don't claim that you're a Purple Heart recipient. You're not a Purple Heart recipient. You earned the Purple Heart, and hopefully you get recognized for that accommodation. But until you are, you don't claim it. That's like saying you don't claim you're a SEAL until you're out of probation, for God's sakes. When you graduate BUDS, you don't go, I'm a SEAL.
Nope. You got another year and a half to go.
And you know what? You are a SEAL in this, but you're not assigned to a team. You don't have your trident. You graduated BUDS. That's what you did. And in your service jacket, you successfully navigated BUDS. Congratulations. You are the top 2% of the 1%. That's amazing. But you're not on the teams yet. But just like me saying, because I spent time with the fucking teams and I worked with the teams and I briefed the teams and deployed with the teams, does that mean that I'm a fucking SEAL? No. And I would never say so. Go ahead.
Right. I have a friend of mine that I work with daily. Super, super nice guy. His name's John. And John made it through BUDS. And then, because there's so much other training that has to happen, one of them is a dive qual. And he unfortunately did not successfully navigate the dive qual and ultimately got dropped, right? So because someone passes BUDS does not make them a SEAL, because he was not a SEAL. So that's Matt's point, is that you can get through these various trainings, but until that trident is sitting proudly, then no, you're not it. And I need to make this very clear. I am not. I am an intel guy, always have been. Yeah.
No, listen, I'm not saying that you haven't accomplished something amazing going through BUDS, but that's like saying you went through your A school and all of a sudden, you're surface warfare and air warfare qualified.
Not even the same, right?
Not even the fucking same thing. It's just ridiculous. And there are a lot of steps to becoming a team guy and getting assigned to your team, right? But it's like people are like, oh yeah, I was part of team 2 or team 3, and I was part of DevGru. No, you're not. I was on green team, so therefore I was in DevGru. No, That's not the way this works. So you guys got to understand SQT, SEAL qualification training. I mean, it's like 26 fucking weeks. A long time. Then you go to jump. What happens if you get to your plane? You don't want to jump. I didn't want to fucking jump when I first jumped. That had nothing to do with the teams. Then you join a team after jump. So after you get out of banding, you go and you join a team, and then you're on a probationary period. It's CTD, continuous training and development, for over a year. Sometimes a little faster, sometimes a little shorter, depending. But becoming a team guy, it's not, I qualified buds, I'm a SEAL. It's not the same thing. It's not how it works, yo. So that's it. That's it.
Paperwork that was right here in my desk from when I went through the CIS course down in Fort Bragg, and it still had the DevGru.
Now,
said,
I want to be,
guys.
and I want to be clear. You get your Trident after SQT, SEAL qualification training. That's when you get your Trident. But you got to go through phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 before.
Mm-hmm.
So SQT expands on buds. Then you get your Trident at the end of SQT. Then you could say, I'm United States Navy SEAL. But if you are on CTD and after jump, like say you go to jump school and you're like, well, I'm a member of the United States Navy SEALs. You can say that. You've been tacked. You've got your Trident. But if you're going to start saying, well, I was on team 2 because I wanted to be on team 2 and you're not on team 2, then you're not on team 2. That's the only way I can describe it. It's like saying, hey, I studied for the fire control or DC damage control certification.
Oh, DC trainer. Yeah.
Advanced DC training. I read the book. So therefore I'm advanced DC qualified. No, you're not. No, you're not. I got assigned a billet to have an additional C school, and I showed up to the first day of strike, and then I outprocessed. I know strike and intelligence, and I was qualified. No, you're not. So I understand this is kind of semantics, but I want to give you guys, I don't want to ruin a guy's reputation. And I'm just saying he knows better if that's the case. Now he might say, no, I was issued a Purple Heart. I wore it on my uniform and I was issued, but it was just never recorded up the chain of command. Okay, well, that's highly irregular. It doesn't matter. The point is, if you didn't get it and it's not a part of your service jacket, listen, I once got a Deca 10 special Fidelis lapel pin from a Deca 10 Special Forces Green Beret. He gave it to me in a VFW. And I was going in for back surgery, and he gave me his pen. I couldn't put that on my flight jacket. I couldn't put that with the VF squadron that I was at and stick it on there and rock it and be like, fuck, dude, I'm a Green Beret because this guy gave me a pen. I stormed the... Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. Another good example are the coins that tend to get tossed around quite a bit.
Right.
Sometimes you will get a coin from your command for doing a good job. Okay,
right.
Great. That's awesome. Sometimes, like with generous chiefs, sometimes they will hand out a coin, right, as a form of appreciation. And it might be something that you were never attached to. Does that mean that somehow all of a sudden you're qualified because of this coin? No, of course not. It does happen.
Right. Tim Wall's a great example. I'm a command major, sergeant major, right? Or do you command? Yeah, command sergeant major, CSM.
Michelle Lionberger, do me a favor, will you? And somehow text after the show. I'd like to know more about that.
So my point is,
right, Pat.
No, I read it. I got you. You're good. Command sergeant major, essentially E9. Well, he didn't even fucking retire as an E8. His official retirement is E7. Did you know that?
Who?
Tim Walls. Yeah, E7. It wasn't even an E8.
Oh, I didn't know that.
He was meritoriously advanced to E8 dependent upon him finishing qualification school, and then he was going to get a command from it. Command Sergeant Major. Well, he didn't qualify through the CSM school, and he wasn't a full-fledged Sergeant Major. They rolled him back to an E7 on his DD-214.
I think that might be E8, homie. I think maybe
Did I say E9?
he was an E8. He was an E8, and taking the E9 position, he had to have been he had to have gone.
Yeah, but
gone to the school.
Isn't Command Sergeant Major, isn't that an additional step in the enlisted rank? So to E9, even though it is a meritorious.
It is, I believe. I'm not too familiar with the Army.
Yeah, well, let's find out.
But I'm pretty sure he was an E8. Like, he retired as an E8.
No, I checked his DD2.
Because he really?
No, he was an E8. Okay. Then he got TDY Command Sergeant Major based upon him finishing his qualifications. But they fucking demoted him back on his DD2 to an E7. His DD2 says E7, and E9 is Command Sergeant Major. So E9 title is, we know it's obviously Master Chief Petty Officer for us. But in the Army, it's Sergeant.
Means that because the Navy is superior, that means I was even better than Tim Walls.
Whatever. Sergeant Major, and then Command Sergeant Major, and then Sergeant Major of the Army. E9 is CSM's title, and he was out as a E7. Yeah, I know. CSM is E9. Well, no, Command Sergeant Major of the Army is the highest enlisted, surely. So, in that we're playing semantics. The point is, Command Sergeant Major is highest E9. My point is that he was rolled back to an E8 because he wasn't rolled back. He was an E8. But I believe the E8 promotion
was contingent upon.
Contingent, yes. Yes. Because he was a master sergeant, and then on his DD2, I would almost bet my left fucking nut that I read that there was a correction in his DD2. I had the copy, I showed everybody, that the correction stated that he was actually an E7. And I don't want to get too far down the rabbit hole here, but I think I'm right.
It doesn't matter. Tim Walsh is a
POS anyway. All right, let's listen to this, and we got more to get to. Let's go.
When I packed a bag, when we knew we were going to get ambushed, when we were leaving Firebase Anaconda, I told Nick that I packed these speed bags full of grenades and magazines. And Nick was like, how many do you put in there? I was like, I don't know, like a gazillion, as many as I could fit in there. And I don't know exactly how many grenades that you could fit into a bag. Maybe it is 50. What I know is that once we got shot at from a building, no one was flashbanging that building. We're throwing grenades in those windows. And thank God that I had great team sergeants that told me how to prepare and build things like that in anticipation for a big fight, which we were in. Was it 50? I don't know. I remember it was super heavy to pack it, but when I told Nick, it was like 25.
No, it doesn't mean he's an E8. And that's not true. He was an E8 predicated upon his CSM. I believe his correction, I'm looking it up right now, his DD2 was rolled back to an E7. I'll look it
50.
up.
It was a gazillion. It was as many as I could get in the bag. That is accurate in the context of what we're saying. That is also true. You know, forgetting the names of fallen.
John, it's not impossible. Okay, John, slow the fuck down. Stop hijacking the show. Just let us look it up and watch the fucking video, please.
Compatriots on podcasts, and I've done hundreds. By 2008, 2009, I couldn't go to the JFK Memorial on Fort.
And okay, so my understanding is this is how it worked. He said he was an E9. He was broken. He went back down to an E8. His command sergeant major, because you get sergeant major E9, and then you can receive your command and there's no change. But he got his E9 rating out of E8 based upon the fact if he completed CSM school. That's my point. I know E7 is an SFC. No fucking shit. I am aware. I'm letting you know that when it came to his DD214, he is not an E9. It says E8, and there was a correction letter added to it, and I don't remember if it was E7 or E8, but something screams to me that it was E7. That is what I'm saying, and I'm trying to confirm. Please listen to the words coming out of my mouth. I am aware that the jump between E7 and E9 is like 15 fucking to 20 years. I'm aware. Just hold on and watch the video and let me look it up and confirm. Jesus.
Brag anymore because we are having funerals every single weekend. And that sucks, man. That it's like a knife straight to the heart. And when you're having Memorial Day and I can't remember their names, I sit down and try to jot their names. And I'm on a podcast, you know, there's lights on, and then I forget one of those names. Yeah, it freaking sucks. And for you to insinuate that I don't care about them, fuck you.
Good on him.
Just fuck you.
Yeah, absolutely good on
I
him.
can keep going and going and going. But no matter how many things there are, and no matter how many answers I give, there will never be enough for some people. There will always be about, but what about this? Or what about that? So I'm just going to stop here. It's shameful, and I think it's disgusting when somebody is pretending to be in a moral high ground, but they're attacking other veterans that is really just financially based. They're doing this to make money. They're doing this and they're attacking specific people like Jocko Willink, who's an amazing leader, who's an amazing person that put all of his faults into his book. That is exactly what I did with my book. That book is a history of faults. And the person that I was in the Creek gang in the first chapters is not the same person that went to Iraq. That was not the same person that went to Afghanistan. And that was not the same person that after I came back from the Valley of Death, went to Afghanistan again to help during the evacuation. There has been an adaptation. And
all right, that's enough. We don't need to hear the random shit. Your thoughts on this? Now, I will tell you, when you listen to some of his podcasts, he talks about, I think, having an MSR and his sniper rifle, and like they killed 200 fucking Al-Qaeda or Taliban in one sitting, and then the EC-130 came over and killed like 400, and that he was putting rounds in bodies based on heat blooms from thermal imaging through his optics, and was seeing people who were giving off heat index and would just fucking put a round into some shit that I'm like, you took out 800 fucking Taliban in one night? I mean, that's over Fallujah. I mean, that's over Bosnia-Herzegovina. That's over Mogadishu. I mean, what the fuck, dude? Like some of the stories that I'm hearing, I need to dive into because it's definitely, it's off. Here's your confirmation. Okay, so it was E8. I just want to make sure I was right or wrong. I'm just, like I said I didn't know. Here it is. And it shows him as an E9, Army National Guard, shows his service, years of service, everything else. Pretty standard DD-214. The correction letter, which I was correct, there was a correction letter, but it was a demotion to E8. It's right here. Reads as CSM, changed to Master Sergeant. So he went from E9 to E8. So they broke him down. It was contingent upon his command and going to command school, CSM school. Didn't. So they retroactively put a correction letter in his DD-214 and rolled him to an E8. That's it. Okay?
Fair.
Yeah. No, I remember I scolded him. I just didn't remember if he was from an E9 to an E7. And it didn't make any sense when I said it. That's why I said I wanted to confirm. We're talking about a lot of stuff here, folks. Very, very much aware. Okay? Your thoughts on this Tim Kennedy thing, just based on what you heard?
Based on what I heard, the guy is absolutely legit, and the vibe that I was getting was that he was telling the truth, and that he was basically saying, "Hey, look, somebody pointed out some discrepancies for the things that where some of it doesn't make sense. There is a reasonable explanation, and then for these other things, that's because his career, right? He's more aware of his career than anybody else, so he has the best knowledge base on that. And I also say this: when you are put on the spot like that, when you go on a show, and this is especially true when you have like a protracted timeline in between missions or in between, your last duty station. If somebody were to ask me, "Hey, who
This is
was your
just
XO on the ship back in?" I don't remember. Like, I don't remember 80% of the names of the people that I've worked with when there's that many years in between. It just, I'm sorry. And then compound that, make it worse, put me on a show where all of a sudden I'm trying to defend a record. No offense, man, I'm not going to remember that. I would love to be able to say that my memory is that good, but I can't. So I absolutely understand what he's saying.
So here are some of the claims. And I will tell you, his body language in some of that video was a little suspect for me. He had dry mouth. He showed some nervousness. He's a professional. He's been on podcasts. He's public speaking. There's no reason for him to be nervous. There were some signs there that he could possibly not be telling the whole truth. But once again, this is between soft guys, and they will check themselves. I would like to say that I'm not taking sides on anything. I think the Anti-Hero podcast has every right to do this. The question is, should you? Do you think it might have been better to reach out to Tim Kennedy and have a conversation with him and say, "Brother, clear some of this shit up for me. I'm about ready to do a podcast that is really going to be damaging to you, and I don't want to make this cast. You and I, let's sit down and have a conversation off the record, and let's have some dialogue." You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Here is some of the things. Shrapnel stories. Describes pulling shrapnel from his body during combat, but peers deny his injuries that these occurred. Purple Heart discrepancy. No record of the award despite his public persona and DD-214 review. Grenade Tails claimed to carry 50 grenades and use them frequently. Mocked as unrealistic by veterans. You ain't carrying 50 fucking grenades. That's stupid. You may have had a shit ton of grenades, but unless you're pulling it from a fucking, a 3x2 wooden crate,
Right.
you're probably.
It's one of those cases where somebody says, "Oh man, I must have drank 50 beers that night." You know that legitimately nobody did. It would have been just a standardized number,
right?
That someone it's the first number that they think of when they think a shit ton. It happens.
Yeah, listen, there's a lot of people who do not like him. I've got some photos of him without a Purple Heart. It would be in top position. I see a Distinguished Service Cross. I see plenty of medals, but I do not see a Purple Heart. And if you are active in uniform and you say you have the Purple Heart, here's the quote. Was providing aid to a village IED, improvised explosive device, pretty part of an ambush. I got a little bit of shrapnel wounds, some to my face and some to my arm, and then I was trying to pick a guy up who was part of the explosion. I didn't permanently injure anything in my biceps, but my adrenaline was going, and his body was kind of heavy. As far as I recover from, I am 100%. I'm going to 3 work. I don't know. So essentially said that he took a little bit of shrapnel and got a Purple Heart. Listen, I'm going to say it again. I got too much to do to be going after people versus going after veterans and what they're claiming. I know a lot of veterans who suffer from PTS and TBIs who tell stories that I know fucking damn well are not real. I'm just letting you know.
It happens.
I've sat next to guys in bars that tell me they're a part of the teams, and I'm, oh yeah, what class number are you? And the fucking answers that I've gotten are just unrealistic and insane. I've got people who told me that they were SEALs, and I said, oh really? Well, where was your first command? It's classified. No, it's fucking not.
That never is.
Listen. You could at least give me the fucking battle group. You can just tell me your fleet. You can tell me that. You can even tell me what country you were in. You can even tell me you were a CENTCOM. Okay, it's okay. You can tell me that. You might even tell me you were in Somalia.
I can see the defense against the country, but never against which COCOM someone was attached to.
Yeah, I know. But if you're over 7th Fleet and you're in Yokosuka or you're in Bahrain,
right,
you can say that, even if you're CENTCOM. But when you say, you start getting into specific Somalia, or I was in Mogadishu, or I was in, completely different conversation. Because then people will look at your years that you were in and they can start putting 2 to 2. But listen, do I think Tim Kennedy embellished his career? There's a lot of guys who do. I'm not going to lie. And I guarantee over 4 years, there's things that I may have said that may have led people down a path where I would look back and go, oh, you know what? I didn't say that right. Or I didn't do that right. Or I embellished that based upon miscommunication. I just did it. Just with Tim Walz from E7. I could have stuck to my guns and said, oh yeah, but no, when you're wrong, you just say, oh, I made a mistake. I'm not here to defend Tim Kennedy. I've met the guy, and he was a complete fucking just a nice guy, and cared enough about some guy who's walking in the middle of SHOT Show with fucking 40,000 people, and he bumped into me and made sure I was good, and then was polite enough to have a conversation when he was late. To me, would I stand shoulder to shoulder with him? Yep, and I would stand shoulder to shoulder with any of those Delta guys. This is between them, and I recommend people do it. That's why I haven't talked about Marcus Luttrell. That's why I haven't talked about Chief Gallagher, because I'm not in their orbit, and I'm not going to pretend that I was. And the people who were not there, shut up. Or at least have the common fucking military courtesy to call the man and say, Kennedy, I'm ready to do this cast, and I don't like what I'm hearing. Talk to me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's it.
To be able to pre-screen something like that ahead of time, sometimes it's a tough ask. I know that if I was ever going to write a book, unlike Matt, I would absolutely call out some of the things that I had done during my naval career, only because they're important. And I think that, in a lot of cases, like, people want to know. Look at the guy who was the SEAL who ended up putting a cap in Osama bin Laden. Should that guy have written a book? Yeah. I would love to have learned more about that night. And hopefully, maybe someday, if I'm ever offered a book deal, somebody's going to want to know about some of the cool shit that I've done. But I'm not going to. I got to address embellish it, and I'm not going to lie about what I've done.
John Haggard, then get your own fucking podcast, because I'm not perfect, bro. Okay? You're starting to fucking annoy me. Okay? I broke his DD-214, and I had it before every major outlet, and Leeroy can attest to it, and so can every single viewer. Okay? I'm not perfect, dude. I'm glad you knew. You're Jesus fucking Christ, all right? Congratulations. I corrected it 30 seconds after I said it. Man, if you can't fucking respect somebody who immediately says, wait a second, let me fact check this. Let me go ahead and look myself. Go fuck yourself. Seriously, bro. I have no problem treating you with a level of respect as long as it's reciprocal. Otherwise, go fuck off. Let it go. Pete Hegseth, CBS. They're going after Petey Hegseth. Leeroy, your thoughts on this? Look how I spoke to you. What did I say? I said, hold on. Let me pull the DD2 and let me look for it. Chill out. Because you kept fucking yapping, dude. Listen, man, this is hard enough without you fucking yammering, man. I'm doing what I can. I just told you I'm looking it up. Just watch the video. Chill out. Just relax, dude. I'm not against you. I'm not your fucking enemy. So the intellectual side that we talked about, this is the other side. I've got no problem people calling me out, but I already owned it. And I already pulled the DD2 and showed it to you and said I was wrong. Why do you keep fucking, are you right so little that it's so important to you that I'm wrong? All right, then let it go. You know what I mean? Brother to brother, it's over. But when I've already made amends and I've said, hey, I was wrong. It wasn't E7, it was E8. Whether you knew or not, it doesn't matter. It's not that I didn't listen to you. I looked at it because you challenged me. Then I said, you know what? I was wrong. You guys are right. Everyone hold on. Fuck, I got it. I own it. Well, once you do that, the last thing you want is someone kicking dirt in your face again. I mean, how many times are you going to continue to do this? All right, then let it go. I already owned it. I was wrong. Okay? You can count on 3 fucking fingers how many times you can say that. But see, I even said, I'm pretty sure, but I got to check. And I did. And it was wrong. All right, good. Pete Hegseth. If you notice, they've been increasing going after him. You know they didn't go after him when he was on Fox. They didn't go after him when he wrote his book. They didn't go after him when he would swim in the harbor with the team guys. The moment that he goes for a position that they don't feel that he's qualified for, they decide to go ahead and try to destroy this guy's career. You've been seeing what's been going on. What's been going on?
Well, so just recently, as in today, kind of recently, he was in the news that another supposed victim of sexual abuse or sexual assault has now come forward and basically said, hey, Pete Hegseth had done this, right? And this is one of those things, we called this. We said that for all of these anti-establishment appointees that Donald Trump has picked out, you can bet I would have put $1,000 in the fact that they're going to go and dig through every farting email, text. If he colored outside the lines in 2nd grade, they're going to want to know about it. And they're going to bring it up to NBC because they're trying to discredit these people. They're trying to discredit all of the Trump appointees so that they can maintain the establishment. Because the one thing that they know is that Pete Hegseth is going to get a hold of the DOD, right? And he's going to say, no more trans, no more, queers. No, we're not paying for this stuff. We need to. His basic philosophy is
More
one
DEI.
of how are we going to get rid of the social agenda and get back to focusing on how to win wars. And I'll tell you, they're going to do this with Kash Patel as well. They're going to dig through his entire history.
Yeah, good luck.
Good
luck finding
Just
shit.
saying. Yeah.
Let it go. John, if I spoke to you with disrespect, that wasn't my design. I had multiple people telling me the same thing, and I'm like, holy fuck, I get it. Okay? I don't need someone to tell me what an E7 is in the military. Whether it's Army, Marine Corps, we all went through the same fucking basic training. I get it. So all I was saying was slow down, let me look, and let me verify. I knew he was busted down. Just didn't know if it was E8 or E7. Now I do. Okay? Good. Well, I know, but respect, right? Respect. You're right. But sometimes, man, we're supposed to have a shorthand. We're military guys, right? We can tell each other to fuck off and not hurt each other. Because it's like, yeah. There you go. Isn't that pretty?
Yeah.
Here's the video. You guys need to watch this. There's going to be some good stuff on Hegseth, and we're going to break it down for you. Here it is.
Trump's pick to lead the world's most powerful military is facing new questions tonight. The concerns stem from new reports that former Fox News host Pete Hegseth was forced out at 2 veterans groups because of alleged financial and sexual misconduct. We get details from Chief White House correspondent Nancy Cordes.
Talking to all the senators, and I look forward to those discussions.
The newly resurfaced accusations followed Pete Hegseth to Capitol Hill today. CBS News has confirmed.
I want you to watch his reaction when he answers this. It's really good.
The Army veteran and Fox News host was forced to step down as head of the nonprofit Concerned Veterans for America in 2016. The group's founders, billionaire Republican donors Charles and David Koch, pushed Hegseth out after staffers accused him of financial mismanagement, sexual misconduct, and repeated intoxication. According to The New Yorker, which first reported about the complaints, Hegseth sometimes got drunk to the point of needing to be carried out of the organization's event.
Guilty right here. Fucking guilty. Guilty. Guilty as charged. I did it at Comcast. I did it at Apple. I did it at fucking United States Navy. Man, I went across the quarterdeck and I literally had to be carried across the quarterdeck.
Anybody who's been in the military, that's probably happened at least once in their career.
This is SOP, guys. This is okay. So, as far as sexual assault, I've never been accused of sexual assault in my life. As far as I've been fired from jobs, though, that wouldn't look good for sure.
Can you tell us why you resigned, sir?
CBS's Nicole Killian asked Hegseth about that today between Senate meetings.
When you were at Concerned Veterans for America, were you ever drunk while traveling on the job?
Not going to dignify that with a response.
What a great
Smart.
answer. Such a good answer. I'm not even going to dignify that with a response. Such a fantastic answer to a question.
My 21-year-old chief wants to look at that lady and go, fuck yeah. Just I see her all the time.
That's the thing, man. I've been fired from jobs. Who hasn't? If you haven't, then you're not taking any risks. But this is the reason I don't run for office, because I know there would be thousands of people who would come out and say that I'm the biggest cocksucker on the planet. And I know that there's thousands of people who would come out and say I'm the greatest guy on the planet, but it doesn't matter because people are going to run with whatever they want. And they're going to pretend they know my life and know who I am, just like they're doing to Pete, just like they're doing to Tim Kennedy. That's the way this works. All right, here's the rest of it. By the way, folks, we haven't said anything. $187.28 is where we're at for our goal as of right now. We are in a world of hurt. We are not even close. This month is probably single-handedly the most important month, along with January and February. It is the hardest months that we have. And the reason why is because everything kind of slows down. It's after election season. Yeah. Everybody kind of gets a little bit, away from social media. They get in front of the Christmas tree. They watch the bowl games. So we do a nightly goal of $250, and we do about $150 in the morning. And you guys, if you understood the cost of the show and what it costs to do this, we're on for 2.5 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours a day. That's not a lot of money. It is a lot of money for an individual, but please understand it costs us a lot to run the show. So if you like the show, you like what's going on, you've seen it a couple times, you've seen it 100 times, we would ask if you have the ability, please help us hit our goal. We're about, $83 shy is what it looks like roughly to me right now. See what you can do to help us out. Here's the rest of the video.
Seth, who has been tapped by President-elect Trump to overhaul the massive Department of Defense, was already dealing with allegations that he sexually assaulted a woman at a Republican convention in Monterey, California in 2017. But he was never criminally charged. And Alabama Senator Tommy Tuberville, who met with him today, said it doesn't bother him.
What I've talked to him about, what I've read, what I've studied, and been around him, I'll vote for it.
Hegseth is not the only contentious pick being weighed by Senate Republicans. Over the weekend, Trump announced his choice to lead the FBI, 44-year-old Kash Patel.
I'd shut down the FBI Hoover building on day one.
Patel held leadership roles in defense and intelligence in the first Trump term and has promised to use the FBI to go after those he says have targeted Trump.
We will go out and find the conspirators, not just in government, but in the media. Yes.
All of these picks will have to undergo confirmation hearings in the new year. And because Republicans will have just a slim majority in the Senate, each nominee can only afford to lose a handful of.
It's not a slim majority in the Senate, you dumb fucking dipshit. It's the House. It's actually a huge lead in the Senate.
Republican votes. Tonight, one of those Republicans, Maine's Susan Collins, says she doesn't know enough about Kash Patel to make a decision. And interestingly, Lindsey Graham of South Carolina says he does know Patel, but wouldn't reveal which way he's leaning. Nora?
That is.
Yeah, well, let me tell you where Lindsey Graham is going to fucking lean, because this is who this douche plow is. Graham questions Hegseth defense nomination amid allegations. He's already laying the groundwork to let you know where he's going to stand. He is saying, some of these articles are really disturbing. Yeah, so is being a warmongerer who literally wants to put billions into every other country except the United States. He's such a fucking neocon warhawk. But comes down to this. Here is another video. I want to show this, and then we'll open it up to comment, because this is what they're
He's
doing.
just avoiding questions about them.
And this video will really kind of put some light on it. This is, I'm in the kitchen. I want to make a pot pie girl. I don't know what her fucking name is. I think her name is Politics Girl. This chick is fucking annoying. She's always been annoying. She sits in a kitchen and she films her video, but now she's like totally like so out to left field. It makes me sick. Listen to the way she talks about Hegseth. Listen to the lies. Listen to how she spins it. You just got a report that was fairly accurate, and watch her distort it in this video. It's really sick.
This is ridiculous.
Well, one thing
trash.
to know that Pete Hegseth has actually denied these things. He's just avoiding questions about them. But
If I may, that is a very long article. I agree with you. There's a lot of things that Pete has allegedly done. And whether it is that he's stolen from the organizations he's run, or he has endless...
Lie. They never said stolen. Mismanaged money. You know what that means? It means you blow your budget on something that didn't work. Right. Mismanagement means that you put out too much T&E for your people in overtime, and you mismanage company funds. You spent it in a way that was detrimental to the company. Anybody who's run a P&L could be accused of mismanagement of funds if they don't get the results that's expected.
Right. So basically, even 1 month off on a P&L where you didn't meet your sales expectations could be viewed as mismanagement.
That's right.
Or he has white nationalist tattoos, or he's raped.
He does not have white nationalist tattoos. Complete fucking lie. God, I hate this.
Not true.
I hate this bitch. I really fucking do. It's Lee McGowan, and she's called Politics Girl. And she's, she sits in the kitchen. She doesn't cook. All she does is talk politics, and she lies. I would love to have her. Lady, any fucking time, bring your lunch. I would love to have you on my show.
He's raped women. Whatever it is that he says, or he has raped.
Did you hear this? Listen, raped women. He's not accused of rape.
Or he's raped women. Whatever it is that he says, or he has allegedly done. No, I'm saying. Hold on. That's all reported. But here's what I.
It's not reported. Not one thing she fucking said was reported. Everything she said, she took it to the absolute extreme.
RBF, man. That's what she has. RBF.
Tell them what RBF is.
Resting bitch face.
Yeah. You know what? Yeah. She see, the thing is, she used to pull her hair back super tight because her face was loosey goosey. Well, now she's been getting injections and she still pulls her hair back that tight. She basically looks like Joan Rivers' asshole. I mean, it's bad.
I see a little bit of that. I Dream of Jeannie, but not the good kind.
Right. Right. Like I Dream of Jeannie and I want to fucking spousal abuse. Throw the bottle away.
The biggest thing people need to understand.
I don't think you're ashamed of yourself.
If I may.
Let me just correct one
Yes,
thing.
you should.
I don't think there were
White
allegations.
nationalist tattoos? You mean
Hold
Christian
on,
tattoos?
Hold on. He didn't. The allegation was not that he stole from the organizations, but that he.
Oh, that's the only one you're going to fix. You're not talking about the rape and that he's a fucking racist because he has turn of the century Christian, or longer than turn of the century, 1600s, 1500 tattoos to represent the Brotherhood of Christ and the Cup of Christ. I don't even remember what that tattoo is. I'll tell you what it is in a second. I read about it and I can't recall.
You talk about the cross
don't yell it.
on his chest?
Yeah. The 4 crosses.
Manage the money. So I would say the biggest thing to remember is that the Secretary of Defense is involved in every issue of our national security. Involved in.
Not true. That's a fucking lie. Absolutely not true. SecDef is not involved in every aspect of national security. That is a national security advisor. That is DNI. It's certainly not the SecDef. Leroy, am I telling lies?
Nope. No, that is 1,000% correct. What she is basically saying is that somehow or another, right, the SecDef has all knowing, all power over the security of the nation, and that's not true.
Jerusalem Cross, that's right, and it represents the 4 evangelists. That's correct. Thank you for jogging my memory. Appreciate it. I'll get a picture of it.
I don't know why you're laughing. Involved in the
I'm laughing because yes, because you are fucking horrible at this, right? Just horrendous. I hope you can cook. Seriously. I mean, I would love to have her on the show. Here. Just because you got a cross, y'all, doesn't mean it's fucking racist. Come on, people. It's called the Jerusalem Cross for a reason. How many Nazis do you know have this? Give me a break.
None.
Represents the 4 corners of the earth, the 4 evangelists, something like that. I read about it earlier today. There it is. Okay, here we go.
Of nuclear weapons, is sending our troops into combat, approving drone strikes. There are literal life and death issues in the hands of the U.S. Secretary of Defense every day. And on the alcohol alone, you cannot give someone a job like that who has a drinking problem, someone who might be incapacitated for.
You just called him a fucking alcoholic, and nobody said that. And Kamala Harris was drunk as shit. Everyone saw it half of her freaking campaign. Leroy, slap her down for me, please.
She needs more anal in her life.
Or less.
Honestly.
Or less.
Yeah.
Is that all you had? Thank you, Mr. Mike Lynch.
Thank you, Mike. That's all I have, and I'll tell you why. Because when you're throwing out lie after lie after lie, and it's so easy to pick out that even, somebody with an average, like me, a third grader's kind of level of intel, if I'm able to pick this out, then I guarantee 90% of the rest of America can also pick this out. So when you hear about CNN's ratings tanking, it's because of this kind of crap.
Hey, Liv. Hold on, everybody.
Yeah.
Did you just put in 15? Okay, sorry, I didn't know what it was. Thank you. Yeah, no, I know it was Mike. Thank you, Mikey.
You're going to continue to defame the guy. You don't know him. You don't know he has a drinking problem.
I'm not his best friend, which you apparently are. But what I'm saying is, this is a.
Now he's best friends with him because the guy's saying that you can't slander somebody like that and you can't make shit up. Now he's his best friend. See, listen to me.
Yeah.
Spousal abuse should not be legal. It's wrong. But Bill Barr said it best. There's nothing that a woman can say that makes you want to hit her. Nothing? Are you sure? Like she's fucking the mailman in the bedroom and you walk in
the house that you're paying for
or at a bed.
She hands you divorce papers. Now you got to go live on a futon. No reason.
No reason at all to fucking slap her, huh? You sure?
In that arc of a story, there's no reasons in there to hit a woman. I'm not saying you do it. You just don't.
Listen, I'm going to say this with everything in the power of my heart and soul. Okay? I can be an asshole. I'm aware. I know this, and there used to be a time where I go weeks without apologizing. Now it's minutes. Like you can ask Leroy. I fuck up and I'm like, sorry, dude. It's minutes. But I never had that my whole life. And people did not stay around me because I could not admit I was wrong. So when I get hot, there's a reason. It's because you pushed a button that you shouldn't be pushing, right? I can be an asshole, but I'm not a fucking asshole. This lady, women can be bitches. Olivia can be a bitch sometimes. She'll tell you. She knows. She plays that Miss Innocent game. And what did I do? And everyone, come on. She's a princess. No. She can be evil. But she's not a fucking bitch. This lady is a fucking bitch. And I use that for a very select few people. I don't even think Nancy Pelosi is a fucking bitch. I don't think Kamala Harris is a fucking bitch. I think Kamala Harris is a soulless lapdog of Satan. This lady is a fucking bitch. You just slandered Pete Hegseth so bad and lied on the national stage. I hope he sues you into fucking. I hope you become bankrupt, girl. Like turning tricks on the corner, girl. Because I hope you never make another fucking dollar. Because I don't care how mad I am never going to disparage, defame somebody like that. How can you even consider that you have any integrity whatsoever when you just called the man a fucking rapist, an alcoholic,
and a Nazi,
and a thief?
Right. Oh. Hey, Mike, thank you for the compliment. Thank you.
What a Leeroy, also great impersonation of Billy Boy. I mean that, and that takes a lot. Billy, huh?
Billy. So his followers tend to call Bill Burr like Billy Gingerballs or Billy Boy or.
Oh, I thought he meant like Bill Clinton. Like,
no, yeah. Burr. It's Burr.
I did not have sexual relations with that chocolate chip cookie. I just looked under the desk and I patted Monty on the head and I said, "Go get him, baby."
Huge job that is not partisan.
Hold on a second.
I am not done.
Please stop.
I am not done.
Hold on.
I'm not done.
I am not done.
Dude, fucking just backhanders.
Lee, just stop for just a second. Just stop. No.
I've never done. Why is Lee? What did Lee do? You know what Lee did? He's white. What did Lee do? If I was her, I'd be like, bitch.
I want to just let's clear the decks for 1 second,
please,
so that we can all stop talking at the same time, and then you can continue. Go ahead.
It is not partisan to say that Pete can't do this job. It is practical. It is about keeping the country safe. It is about the safety of our troops. He is being hired. He has been potentially hired to run the world's largest and most lethal military force. You cannot play games with that. And this man has too many skeletons in his closet to put him in charge of such a large organization.
Let me deal with one thing that is not in dispute. There is a police report that accuses.
This is ridiculous.
Man in the arena. The man in the arena.
To think that you know what he did as some dumb twat who has a very successful podcast that's just 10 times better than mine. And if you're basing it upon viewers, it is. But if you're basing it on content and honesty and truth, it's not. Lady, I have blown your videos apart before, and I at least respected you that you could argue a case. And go listen to the breakdown videos that I've done of her. They're always respectful. I have never, ever called her a bitch. That stops now. You're a fucking bitch. You're just. It's time to start calling bitches again. Okay, we've been called assholes and dicks and sea suckers. It's time to use the word. We're gonna bring it back. It's like bringing sexy back. The word bitch. I'm done with. I'm a woman. How dare you? That's sexist. You know what? Fucking guilty as charged. You're a bitch, and you need to be treated like a bitch. And you know what? I hate to say this, and this is really rude because Leeroy went anal. You need to be fucked like a bitch. I think it'll do you some good. You need some angry sex in your life so you can get some of this frustration out. You really do. You need to find that guy that you want to have angry sex with so you can calm the fuck down. I hope Pete Hegseth sues you. I hope his wife sees you in public and beats the fuck out of you. That would be. Oh, yeah. Does she have a dress? I'm sorry. I don't even know Pete Hegseth, but how can you? If anyone ever did that to me, if anyone ever defamed me like that, I don't know what I would do. I know I would sue their asses into oblivion because what you just said went out to, well, hundreds of people at CNN, let's be honest, but it doesn't matter. Does this bother you, dude? This is the whole topic tonight, breaking down veterans, destroying veterans. If you're not the leftist media and you're not other veterans, why are you doing this to people? Why now? Why not when he was on Fox? Why not when his book released? Why all of a sudden? Isn't it funny? Come on, Leeroy, help me out, man. Make it make sense.
Well, you can't. This is simply mainstream media grasping for ratings and straws simultaneously in an effort to defame, to manipulate people's perceptions of Donald Trump's picks because they don't like them, because they don't want these people who are anti-establishment types. The people that you see on MSNBC and CNN who are basically saying, I don't like Kash Patel. I don't like Pete Hegseth. These are their rap sheets. They may be fabricated, but we're not going to acknowledge that. We're just going to go ahead and assume that everything is true. And because of that, we think that they should not be endorsed by the rest of the senators and the powers that be, right? That's their only goal for this, is to bring in somebody who might be a little more moderate. Why? Because at the end of the day, everyone in CNN, everyone in MSNBC, they're looking for those ratings. They are looking to manipulate how you feel.
Yeah. I'm gonna quote Patrick Waugh, is when Jeremy Roenick said, I'm gonna score on Patrick Waugh in the Chicago Blackhawks versus Colorado Avalanche playoffs, and Patrick Waugh said, he would stop him. Jeremy Roenick says, well, I'd like to know where he was in Game 3 when I put his jockstrap in the stands, which basically means throw a shot so fast that it takes off his jockstrap and scores. And Patrick Waugh said, I really would like to hear what Jeremy Roenick says, but I can't because I've got my 2 Stanley Cup ring plugged in my ears. And basically, Jeremy Roenick didn't have any rings. And he just said, I just put my rings in my ears and I didn't listen to you. Pete Hegseth just put his 2 bronze stars in his ears, and go fuck yourself, lady. I can't stand people. It's at Politics Girl. She's on TikTok. She's everywhere else. I cannot fucking believe the Colorado Avalanche came back. Let Buffalo score 3 and they came back 5-4. Shocked. But here's a video that I wanted to show you, bud. And I think you'll like it. Now, Donald Trump has focused on the border. That he has threatened tariffs against Mexico.
Yep.
As punitive, and Canada. Well, guess who came down to Florida? I was going to release this. I had his Canuck Force One, whatever Trudeau flies. And I knew it was flying down to Florida because I have this cool app that shows you all like IFF transponders and all designated letters for and numbers for civilian aircraft and military aircraft. It's a flight tracker.
Yeah.
It's simple. And so he was going down to Florida, which is interesting because Air Force One doesn't necessarily show up on that. I'm wondering why his does. I guess it's Canada. They don't think anything can happen, but
they don't count.
That's true. He comes down to Florida to meet in Mar-a-Lago so he can go down and kiss the ring. Now, we all know. Now, of course, the leftist media says it's because Donald Trump can't travel to Canada with a felony. Bullshit. You see, you guys just make shit up, man. You guys just make shit up. But he goes down and he does this. I want to tell the story because Peter Ducey actually tells it fairly well. But this is golden, dude. Like, this is quintessential Donald Trump, and it's the sexiest fucking thing. Olivia and I both looked at each other at the dinner table, high-fived, and said, God, I'm so happy he's back. I can't wait for the next 4 years. And no matter what you think, he's at least entertaining. Listen to this, dude. This is probably the greatest moment of his presidency so far. And he's not even in yet, Leroy. There it is.
We're getting some new details about that Trump-Trudeau dinner from 2 people who were at the table. We are told that when Trudeau told President-elect Trump that new tariffs would kill the Canadian economy, Trump joked to him that if Canada can't survive without ripping off the U.S. to the tune of $100 billion a year, then maybe Canada should become the 51st state and Trudeau could become its governor.
More on that detail with the panel. Peter, thank you.
Oh, it's so good. We got to listen to it again.
I love it.
We got to do it again.
From 2 people who were at the table. We are told that when Trudeau told President-elect Trump that new tariffs would kill the Canadian economy. Trump joked to him that if Canada can't survive without ripping off the U.S. to the tune of $100 billion a year, then maybe Canada should become the 51st state and Trudeau could become its governor. Brett.
Watch Brett Baer.
More on
Look
that detail over the panel, Peter.
Fucking love Trump, man. How the balls? I don't know how he sits down. They're huge and round, folks. We're at 182. We are 27, 17, and $67 shy. This might be the night we've hit it for. I don't know. I can't even count. It's here. We're waiting. Hey, if you like the show, ask yourself the question: if you went to the movies, how much would that cost? Has this 2 hours been entertaining as a movie? I don't know. Maybe. I hope it is. You're still watching. Leroy, what do you think about that beautiful comment to Justin Trudeau?
I am listening to it, and I'm trying to hear it in Trump's voice. Maybe Canada should become the 51st state, and you can become my governor. You know, I could hear it, and I'm salivating over hearing it because I wish I would have been a fly on the wall. That would have been amazing.
Listen, I don't want to disrespect Canada. I just want to disrespect Justin Trudeau. Canada being the 51st state, obviously it's a joke. It's a good one. Yeah. It's funny. It lets them know, hey, man, I know all the shit you talked for 4 years. I know how much you kissed Biden's ass, and I know what you did to conservatives in your country. I know what you've done to Canada, and not only are we going to make America great again, we're going to make Canada great again. So you better get in line and STFU.
You can hear a lot of the connective tissue between the Trump presidency and his level of humor and Reagan.
Oh yeah,
Reagan pulled the same. Yes, just the level of I'm going to get this dig in, but it's going to be fun. It's going to be a jab. You're going to like it. It'll be amazing. You know, I love that. Absolutely love it.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good. John, sorry I snapped at you. Wasn't not my finest moments when I do that. I get hot buttons too. And everyone knows when I feel stupid, I kind of get punchy. And I was punchy with you. And I'm sorry. You don't deserve that. I still think you got to know when to let off the gas a little bit, but my reaction should be better than that, especially to friends. So I apologize. You're a good man. You're an honorable man. You served your country. I covet your opinions. And I apologize if I was rude to you. Okay? There it is. Fuck. It's hard. It's hard having trying to be sensitive. It's getting easier, but it takes a little time for me to reflect. But, even if you're right, it's okay to say you're sorry once in a while. And even when you're wrong, it's okay to say you're sorry once in a while. It comes down to this, is that in these moments, it's hard enough in this show, guys. It's hard enough to do this. And then when you get somebody you care about, you saw this the other night. It's like, very rarely am I like, this is a fact. This, I would research it. If I don't know, I'm going to say, you know what? I don't know. Either way, I apologize for what I did. Here's something I want to talk to you about, because I think that Trudeau knows that it's an election year, and that if he doesn't kiss the ring and do Trump's bidding, there is no chance. I don't think he's going to get reelected. I think they're going to kill him. I mean, kill him, like get him out.
Yeah.
But he's going to do whatever he can to get reelected. You know what I mean?
Well, and so if we're comparing the two, if we are looking at how the U.S.'s election turned out, and then we draw some connective tissue, we see the similar lines that Canada has taken, with maybe a little bit of a turn. Thank you, Suzanne. With maybe a little bit of a turn too far to the left. And you know that most of the people in Canada are probably more moderate.
Oh, yeah.
Then if you are Justin Trudeau, right now you are puckered up. Because all of the social media, it's not like Canada has, ultimate free speech. They don't. But what they do have is still the access to podcasts. And so you have a lot of people from Canada who are tuning into shows like this. Thank you,
Lois.
Lois.
I do that too. God, we fucking do. Why are we, like, seriously, bro? I mean, is it brother from another mother? What the fuck, man?
I don't know.
Weird.
And so with this advent, this rise in the level of podcasts and Ben Shapiro and the Sean Ryans of the world and Joe Rogan, you know that everyone in Canada is going, you know what? The U.S. just voted this way. We can too.
Thank you, Melody. Thank you, everybody, for chiming in. Thank you, everybody. We really appreciate it. Canada, our show does not penetrate like it was. They censor a lot of our stuff, and our loyal fans find us, and God bless them for it. But this censorship has to stop. Now, this is a great segue. Zuckerberg is starting to suck up to Trump. He wants to seek a role in Trump's policy. Thank you so much, Kevin. So here's the thing. Mark Zuckerberg, CEO of Meta, has met with former President Trump at Mar-a-Lago, indicating a possible shift in their relationship. The discussion reportedly revolved around Zuckerberg wanting an active role in shaping Trump's technology policies, according to various sources. This meeting comes after a period of tension when Trump was removed from Meta's platform following the Capitol riot. Can we trust Mark Zuckerberg, dude?
I don't. My gut tells me no, but I would like to learn more about it. I would like to know more about the actual conversations and see what if he is the type of person that will say one thing and then do something completely different. Because ultimately, there's a whole class of Greek philosophy that basically says what someone says is meaningless in this world. It's what they do that counts. It's what their actions are. So if this dude, thank you, Amy.
Thank you, Amy, which is John and Amy. Thank you both. We appreciate both of you. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much.
If he's able to follow through with actual real action that says, look, we realized that we were in the wrong before, right? And I'm going to take some changes. And we're going to look at Facebook introspectively and say, look, we think that we were not unbiased and that somehow we need to become unbiased. I would take that as a win, right? I don't know that we're there yet. I hope that's what he is trying to, get to. But I mean, all you can do is hope.
When I see 1,000 people watching this show, I'll believe you. Because I got 200,000 plus, almost 205,000 people who follow my show. And I've got 64 people on right now. Give me a fucking break. Just people scrolling by, I should be in the thousands. And this isn't just me. This is Benny Johnson. This is everybody. We're all being censored. And I know because I had on average 275,000 people exposure, overall penetration, influence on my channel for the month of November before the election. I'm at 12.6 million so far since the election. You're stepping on the brake, and you're censoring my channel. Everyone knows it. We've all seen it. So get this shit fixed. Fix your channel. Stop censoring conservative voices. Okay? When you're done, I still won't trust you. Reinstate my stars that you've never activated. Pay me for my Instagram videos. Start showing commercials on my live show again. And let me just have the same opportunity to grow as everybody else. That's all you got to do. And because you have treated me like shit for no reason. I don't spread fake news. I don't lie to anybody. I am hardcore honor and integrity and try to treat my viewers and the people I talk about with as much respect as I can, with encroaching upon subjects that are very emotional that a lot of people don't want to talk about. So give me my fucking channel back, you dick. Or fight me. You know what? You're an MMA. Fight me. Let's have it. You know what? I'll fight you for it. I'm 50 years old, Mark. I will kick your fucking ass up and down the road. Anytime you're ready. You've been taking MMA and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Great. Fight me anyway. Because you may be able to fucking Wang Chung all over the place, but if I connect with you one time, I'm going to knock you the fuck out. Fight me or just give me my channel back, you dick. Ethan, or not Ethan, Hayden's video, I want to end with that. But this is for you, dude. You and I called two things. You sent me a communication here earlier today in regards to shale revolution in Europe and how it can't be done. You called that. Well, you want to see something fun? What have I been saying? The next continent, which is going to be where everything's going to fire off.
Africa.
Biden allocates $1 billion for African disaster relief amid domestic recovery needs, Leroy.
Gotta be an accident, right?
It's almost like geopolitics is what we do, man. President Joe Biden announced over $1 billion in humanitarian aid for African nations recovering from natural disasters like droughts and floods during his recent visit to Angola. This move has sparked a debate, with some critics highlighting an ongoing recovery needs in North Carolina and Florida from recent hurricanes like Hurricane Helene, suggesting domestic issues are being overlooked. The aid aims to address food insecurity and support infrastructure rebuilding across 31 African countries. I will give Leroy and I credit. We called this shit at the beginning of the Ukraine war.
There's no reason they should be getting $1 billion fucking dollars. None.
Yeah. None. You can rebuild the 7 largest cities in Africa for that fucking money.
We have been saying for the longest of times that, and it sucks to say this, I'm not trying to be cold, I'm not trying to be callous, but the fact of the matter is that with potash in limited supply, with fertilizer in limited supply, the people in Africa, millions of them, are likely to starve. Okay. Now, I say that to say this. That sucks. I understand that. I am not immune to that fact. However, when you have natural disasters popping off here in Asheville, where millions of people have been affected, and FEMA steps in and says, well, we'd love to help you, but all we can give you at the moment is a couple of $100 a piece because we don't have a lot of money. Then the next month, you see Biden giving away over $1 billion to a continent that's 8,000 miles away. That's a problem.
Yeah.
That's a big problem.
If you think that Donald Trump's going to figure out Ukraine, and he will, and Israel, he will. He's already put Hamas on notice. If there's any American hostages that are not released or declared dead by January 20th, Donald Trump's going to knock them into fucking. If you think it's been bad, what he is going to systematically kill every single Hamas leader, supporter, and foot soldier. He will do what he did to ISIS. He will go fucking and put them in a city and bomb it into oblivion. He doesn't care. You know, and it's not because Donald Trump's a warmonger. It's that he will rip this Band-Aid off, and he is going to solve these problems through diplomacy or by force, one way or the other. He's going to do exactly what Reagan did, and it'll be over. He did it with Syria. Mm-hmm. Everyone's like, he bombed Syria. Damn right he did, and then he fucking ended it. That's what he will do here. Now, if you think, though, that Donald Trump is not going to put money into Africa, he's not stupid. Africa is where everything is going to fire off.
Yeah.
And it will be the next world war will be fought over Africa. I'm telling you right now. Because if you think Africa wasn't a huge player in World War II, you haven't read a history book. Because Northern Africa was a huge issue in World War II. It will fire off again. Mark my words. So Africa is the next big global land grab. And it is the Middle East of the 80s, 90s, and 2000s. Mark my words. This is the beginning. And honestly, everyone's like, well, I don't want to put money. Listen, I have no problem. For national security's sake, you have to invest into Africa, and you have to get pieces of that country dedicated to the United States, especially the western side and the northwest side of Africa. They can have the southern side of Africa if they want, north of south of Africa. They can have the eastern side of Africa. But if you want all the minerals and if you want all the exports, you get the western and northwestern side of Africa, northwestern and western side of Africa, and the United States will be in a good spot. Any thoughts on this that you wanted to chime in on?
No, and I think you hit it perfectly right on the head. Michelle Farrow-Lineberger was asking, hey, is that because of the resources? Yes and
Yes
no.
and no. Yes and no.
So there is some level of the people there are going to suffer. That is not the issue. We know that that's going to happen. They don't have very many rivers for which they can leverage in order to move goods or services. So that's an out. They're never going to be a major industrial complex there. So, excuse me. The one thing that they do have are the mineral rights. They have things like lithium and cobalt, and they have a lot of precious metals that a lot of people want. The only other places in Africa that don't have those deposits that are doing well is because they're leveraged in a good geographic spot. Places like Djibouti, places like Somalia, where major trading nations have to go by their shores, and so those are the only other places in Africa that are doing fairly well. Yeah.
Strategic location is huge, right? So with throughfare and trade with the Straits of Gibraltar and the Suez Canal, absolutely massive for maritime shipping vessels and things to that effect. So, and also U.S. naval strategy. Second, it's the Pacific Ocean is dominated by the United States Navy. The Atlantic Ocean is dominated by the United States Navy. Pacific is dominated by the United States Navy. And let's face it, the Northern Atlantic is dominated by the United States Navy. The Indian Ocean is dominated by the United States Navy. The Sea of Japan is dominated by the United States Navy. This is the last place on Earth that the United States Navy does not dominate. Africa is a huge strategic point. And the reason why it's so important to us is because China wants it.
Yeah.
And because China wants it, we should want it. That is why it is a huge issue. So it's competitive on the global power scale. So China, Iran, Russia, India, and including North Korea all have interest in Africa. But also one of the other reasons that I want to bring up, which is probably slightly less important, but still important, is preventable diseases and global pandemics. What we learned from China is that horrible plumbing and horrible food practices and not having an EPA oversight or having contaminants, it breeds and people dying.
Heating their huts with literal cow dung.
Yeah.
Sometimes using it for cooking fuel.
Yes. These things ultimately are antithetical to an advanced civilization. And what we learned about China was controlling these environments and bringing them into the 20th century, even though we're moving into the 21st. A lot of them are still in 19th century, some of these villages. There's no doubt. They are mud huts. They don't have plumbing. They don't have internet. They don't have running electricity. This is not good. So from a global pandemic scale, you want to also control and bring Africa into a modern society. If you can do those things, you have a very rich and lush environment. Getting Africa on our side is also a really important thing, and it slows China down. That's why. Makes sense? True. Leeroy, I had a fun night tonight. This was I know that Tim Kennedy thing went long, but I wanted to do it justice. And I thought it was a good show. I appreciate it. You got your minute. Go ahead. 2 minutes, 3 minutes, whatever you want.
Yeah. It's one of the comments that I saw, and hold on, I actually have to page up to it, from Bubba Conway. Bubba Conway said, South Africa is oil deep. South Africa has something like 389.7 trillion estimate cubic feet of natural gas. That's a lot.
That's a lot.
Now, what they don't have is a lot of oil. They have a lot of natural gas. They don't have a lot of oil. And unfortunately, throughout most of the world, the only way to really leverage that is LNG, liquefied natural gas, which means they have to freeze it. There's going to be a lot more, infrastructure to do that kind of thing. They just don't have it. It's not as energy dense as you think.
They've got a lot of coal and crude oil. There's no doubt, and natural gas is a huge one. But He's absolutely right in regards to that. But there's also things that I want to let you in on. Cocoa, coffee, tea, bananas, avocados. These come from Africa too. And this moves us away from Mexico. Remember, dependency on one country for our imports and exports isn't a good thing. If we can cultivate Africa, if we can, bring in, my nose is itching, I'm sorry, advanced irrigation in some of these villages, although a desert, there are rich and illustrious earth and soil and topsoil in Africa. You just have to get the irrigation to it. The problem is running rivers. This is an issue. So you're going to have to landscape a lot of this. You're going to have to build reservoirs. You're going to have to build dams. You're going to have to channel a lot of this free-flowing water and create aqueducts to go to a lot of these undeveloped areas. And that requires infrastructure and a shit ton of money. The United States has the ability to do that, and it's an investment into our future. I would absolutely do it. But they're textiles. They do gold. They do copper. They do zinc. They do a shit ton of minerals outside of Africa, which are all need in semiconductors, which are all need in brand new vehicles. All of these type of things are huge. Massive fish and seafood, which we are struggling on the East and West Coast. Bringing in fish is becoming more expensive, and a problem is with using places like China and Japan is also the freshness and the quality, but the mercury levels inside that fish. We have some of the cleanest waters in the world. So does Africa's second. The cleanest waters as far as ocean in the entire world is in the Atlantic and Pacific, but also on the shores of Africa, which would bring high quality fish in. So they are an abundant source. A lot of people are talking about South America. South America is a little too late. We've got to get Africa now. This is the next big one.
True.
Bring it home, man. Give me your minute.
Oh, no, that was it. It was a great show. Folks, what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to be on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and there's a couple of different reasons for this, but I'm hoping, right, that having Matt and I on in this kind of format will actually, it's going to be a good thing. We're going to have a good time. You guys are going to get a lot more information. I tend to bring a lot of the geopol stuff to bear on discussions like this, and especially like tonight, where there was a heavy emphasis on military credibility. This is one of the things that is a forte of mine, right? So I'm hoping that this works well, and if you like it, you know where the tip jar's at. I love you guys.
Yeah, we are excited to have. I think it's great. Tuesdays and Thursdays can get lonely, and Olivia is doing Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Amy is doing Wednesdays and Mondays. And Mike, we don't know. Mike has an open invite after the show last night. Thought it was good enough to bring him back, and he can come on anytime he wants. So my goal is to have nights that we look forward to when certain guests are on. And when we have big events, they'll bring all of us together. I think it's a good thing. But I am excited to see Leeroy for 2 days a week where it's just him and I, because we play off each other really well, and it's usually a very informative show. So thanks for being here, buddy. Thank you guys for having us hit goal yet again. I really, really appreciate it.
Yep, thank you.
And we'll see you guys tomorrow. We'll see about an AM show. We'll see how that goes, but we appreciate you. Thanks for watching. Please go over to thedumshow.com/donate to my Wimkin followers. I'm very sorry. They had a huge DDoS attack, and the entire site went down. They went back up, but we could not gain access to the video. So we'll be back on Wimkin tomorrow. Please go over to wimkin.com and sign up. Leeroy, thanks for being here tonight. And everybody, we will see you.
Night.
Yeah, buddy. As always, we'll see you guys next time.
Peace out, homies.
Adjusting transmitter output.
This is the Don't Unfriend Show with your hosts, Matt Leeroy, Amy, and Olivia. Geopolitics, military analysis, and election coverage. Coming to you live on all major social media channels at The DUM Show.
That's right, Amy. We talked about it the other night. Isn't that great?
Honest, direct, unfiltered. We can agree, we can disagree. Just don't unfriend me.